Hello, everybody. Welcome to a belated reintroduction to Timesphere, where all of our discussions are definitely still on time. We haven't missed anything. This is definitely not, 2 weeks post recording of the state of play. I don't even remember when that happened at this point.
1 week. 1 week. No. Well, originally we were going to delay until
You're right.
September, but like everything, but the
True.
the it's a little stacked of a calendar, so we
Hey, we
felt
got our
that it
first
would be
blink.
smarter to
Valor Mortis
move
blinked
move it up ahead.
and switched. Which
It's
someone
wise,
look, someone said,
wise. I think.
"Hey, we got the first blink," and I'm like, "Yeah, a smaller game is blinking because it was releasing in the same time frame as Control, the Control sequel, Onimusha, and can't even remember what the
Mhm.
third one, that third one that's releasing the same like within the same 2 day period. There's like 3 games that are pretty
Yeah,
size. Oh,
it's
Silent Hill, the new Silent Hill,
yeah, Townfall. Yep.
and I'm
It's
like,
yeah. It's you need to get out of the way.
cool. I haven't even looked. That's something we'll probably do next week. Is like look at that time frame and kind of like discuss, because I want to do an episode talking about like the consumption of games and the best way to like consume games as like these prices are continually going up on consoles and like the hardware. Because like there's not like I have
Yeah,
friends that are like what some of my buddies were just in town, and all of them are gamers, but they're all like very casual in terms of like they don't really play like exactly the newest stuff. Like one of my buddies plays like the newest 2K, and he'll pick up a Call of Duty every couple of years to try it out with some
yeah.
friends. But he does not play a
He
lot of
is
stuff.
he is the common gamer that I think when we're talking about, like, when people in the games industry and people in game media talk about, all these indie titles and all these different variety of games. I think we often forget that most people who play games, we talk about like console gamers, are people like that who play a sports game or two, get the new Call of Duty or the new Battlefield. They'll buy like one of the big AAA releases of the year, like they'll be like, oh, Crimson Desert, or oh, Wolverine, or whatever, and that's really it, and that's fine, especially now because, like you said, games are more
Everything's so
expensive,
expensive.
consoles are more
Well,
expensive, and
so they were
yeah,
asking me like what the best deal in gaming was, because one of my buddies was like, I'm thinking about either getting a like a PC, like a laptop that's capable of playing like some games, like a decent laptop that can play some games because he's on the move a lot. So he's like, I kind of want to get a laptop instead of like a gaming handheld. So I was thinking about getting like a laptop that can handle some decent gaming. He plays mostly like last gen stuff, so he doesn't need the most fancy stuff. But he was like, "Is it like that? Is that the move? Should I get a Switch 2? Should I get a this? Should I get a that?" And I was like, "It really depends on what you want at this point. Like this weekend is a really good example of like, or this last week has been a really good example of like where like people can look at it and be like, where am I going to spend the most time? Because like the answer for me is always
yeah,
obvious. I'm going to spend time playing whatever game catches my eye, and then I'm going to be on my Switch 2, because I play a lot of
yeah.
stuff on PC. I've got the ROG Ally X, which is where I've been spending a lot of my time. I'm like playing Pragmata. I just bought Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on there because it was like $20, and I want to replay it before the third one comes out, before Revelation comes out.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna give that one another go, because I think I got like, I don't even think I finished it. I have to go look at my PlayStation save, but I want to play it in my handheld. So that's where I play most of my games that aren't specifically on my Switch. But it's basically that or my Switch. Now I barely play games
Yeah.
on my PS. Like the last times I booted up my PlayStation were to download the free games for June, and then to play 2K, which I have officially. Scott, you'll be proud of me. I'm officially not letting myself play 2K anymore.
Thank
I've hit
goodness.
I've
Thank
hit
goodness.
I've hit the cutoff point for this last
You hit the
2K.
wall, and you're just like, I
Well,
wanted to keep doing this.
I don't think I need to tell you what the wall is in terms of hour number, because I looked at that number when I shut it off for the last time last week, and I was like, because that number went up a
Mm.
lot the last month during the playoffs, like a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's always, yeah, it's all, every sports, like, major, once you get to like playoffs, so like it's like when it gets to January, it's like I do want to play more college football, like EA college football, and then I'm good after a month, and I've been pretty good for years now, being able to avoid getting sucked back into 2K every time the NBA playoffs come back.
It is,
Thankfully, the playoffs themselves are entertaining enough.
yeah. Look, the habit got so bad that I'd sit down at my desk sometimes when I knew I wasn't going to be writing or knew I wasn't going to be doing something, or I should be doing something else, and I'd just grab the PlayStation controller and automatically boot it up, like by muscle memory.
It's muscle memory.
And I'd be like, why am I doing this? I've done
It's
every
not good. It's
permutation
not.
of like my GM, and I don't even like the my GM mode in these new ones. So I was like, oh, I did every permutation of whatever combination of like building a team in my NBA. Like, there's no reason for me to continue playing this game, and so I just had to be like, I'm done. I have to cut myself off. I took the disc out of the PlayStation. I
Yeah.
deleted the game off the PlayStation. It's
There you
not
go.
there anymore. I will not be tempted. I've got other games I need to play. I got other things I need to do. Speaking of which, this oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I had a similar temptation to try some more Destiny 2 because of the other day they had their last update and they had a big push to get people into to go play it. I didn't get in on the Tuesday where everyone was playing. I got in yesterday. I got rid of some games I wasn't playing as often. I got rid of like Fortnite. Like I still had the old like last year's EAFC still installed. I was like, I'm not playing this. Let's get rid of this because Destiny is like 150
It's a lot
gigs
of
on
games.
Steam.
Yeah, it's a big game.
It's a lot of game, and so I downloaded it, and I had a moment where I was playing, and I subsequently at the same time remembered why I like Destiny and why I stopped playing at the same time. So I was running around and shooting things. And I was like, I remember this is great. I enjoy this. The abilities are fun. All this, and then, but I was also immediately overwhelmed by the amount of icons and places to go, and the director, it's like you open the big map, like the big galaxy map or the director, and there's like 8 different places to go. Half of them are blinking, and then you go to like the main hub world, the main hub area, the traveler, and there's like 20 icons on the map and half of them are blinking, and I'm like, where am I going? And I tried the first I one of the few expansions I didn't buy, surprisingly, was the Renegades, the Star Wars one. So I tried the first mission because you can do the first mission before you buy the expansion. I mean, that's kind of like a reason. I mean, we can have a different day. We'll talk about like Destiny and like, I want to have a bigger conversation about like Destiny and Marathon and that whole discourse and this whole thing and everything's going on there.
We can have a whole
a big reason
on, like,
why, I
that
mean,
kind of stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I think a big reason why people like, I mean, the fact that didn't do well, like the Renegades one didn't bring in as many people as they wanted to, when it's like they were just so like, we're just pulling the Star Wars lever. We're just gonna hit the big Star Wars lever, like, and it's like it's not even like themed after Star Wars. It's just straight up Star Wars. And I mean, I guess I'll keep it short because we can talk about this a different day. I played the first mission and I was kind of like bored, and I was like, okay, I think I'm done too. Like I had a little callback because the nostalgia and everyone being like, oh, we want Destiny 3 or we don't take Destiny 2 down, but all this stuff. And I was like, I jumped back in. I was like, nah, I'm good.
There's a whole lot to discuss there, not only just because of Destiny 2 and like Marathon and like the kind of just like expansions and live service as a whole, but also just Sony spending however many billions of dollars on Bungie and just not automatically having a green light for whatever they're doing next beyond Marathon. Like, it's just one of those things.
Because right now I think Jason Schreier said that they are just pitching right now, or they are just in.
They're pitching.
They're not even in pre-production or the early stages of any.
They better get on that, because that's what happened with Bluepoint. Bluepoint was stuck pitching for a year after their last thing got canceled, and then they got canned. So Bungie's not going to get canned, but they're very dangerously in the area of like they're going to be able to do like a small game, like a Marathon. I say small.
Sure.
They're going to be able to keep up Marathon, and then they're just going to be relegated.
It is smaller. It is but literally smaller than Destiny 2. In scope
of other games, it is not small. It is not it is not a small release. It is not a small budget game. The idea would be they would be able to support that and keep making maybe a game like that, but then the majority of them would be relegated like a support studio or something, and that's what they want to avoid.
Yeah,
because if you spend
or they'll do big layoffs, and it's a much they don't want that's the thing. That's probably going to happen. They don't want to like close Bungie or like get rid of what makes it special. I mean, we've seen from the reaction of people of what's happened with Destiny 2 and like the earlier peaks of the game and like a few years back where it's like, I mean, that game was just a money printing machine, and I mean, Bungie's between that and like the early days of Destiny and like their history with Halo, like Bungie like reverence for Bungie was so high. And it wasn't that long ago. So I mean, Sony doesn't want to let that go, just like
Well,
relegate
the
them,
reverence
like I
for
said,
Bungie
relegate them
reached
being
like
a
an
sports
almost an
studio
all-time
or
high
slow it.
with that with what the final shape or whatever. That got like critical acclaim, and like people reviewed that super highly as like an
Yeah.
expansion. And then it just didn't do the things that it needed to do in terms of like whatever Sony was looking for. And Sony was looking for a lot because Sony's been in a very problematic state. But it's the same thing with Xbox. Like, this is a conversation that we'll have later. This episode specifically, so I'll preface this while we're about to move into talking about the showcases. This episode specifically is going to be talking about the showcases themselves, not necessarily everything that's coming out of the showcase. I have a few instances of topics that I do want to bring up outside of the showcases, but we're not going to be talking big about like all the interviews that are now coming out from everybody that was at Summer Game Fest. There are a couple. Obviously, I have a bunch of mutuals and buddies that were out there doing stuff. They're all doing great work. And I'll link I might link some of them below if I think that they're like good reading for like some of the subsequent stuff we talk about. But that'll be like next week's episodes and further on out. But like go if you want to see the stuff that I'm talking about, go look at my Blue Sky. I've been retweeting a bunch of articles and a bunch of like talking points and stuff that have been like very prominent over the last like week or so since the actual SGF aired. So, but the point is, we're going to be talking about the showcases themselves, our favorite things from them, a little bit of an overview on them, not much of it. Like, we're not going to go through every game, and then talking about like this kind of the state of what those showcases are and what they mean for the business and like fans and stuff. That's kind of where we're at right now. That being said, that is a big point of contention with a lot of this stuff is okay, what does this mean for each studio? What does this mean for whatever? And we'll get into it a little bit more when we get to the Xbox showcase here in a minute. Before we get into the SGF discussion, though, I do want to say, at the time of this going up, because we're actually uploading this on Friday, June 12th, we're recording this the day before it goes out, which is pretty rare for us. We usually record like 3 or 4 days out, but it's already been a week. Want to just get this out of the door. We pushed back recording it because of the Nintendo Direct, because we wanted to talk about that specifically, and I'm glad we did. There's a lot to talk about there. We're putting this up on my birthday, which is fun. And then on top of that, with this going up, there will be a new article on Booster Blogs for the first time in a while. I'm using this as an opportunity to make myself do things again. So Timesphere is back after we took we didn't really plan to take a break from Timesphere. I didn't plan to take a break from streaming necessarily, but Scott just got really busy. I've been really busy with stuff, so we just decided, hey, let's just cool it a little bit, take a little bit of time off. I think it was really good for us to just like, touch grass, but like just take a break, because obviously, as we keep saying, because I don't know how many I've started getting emails being like, hey, like, what kind of business are you looking to do with your podcast? I'm like, Scott and I just do this to talk, mostly. Like, this is us hanging out and talking. And hopefully, like, the people listening to this, whether it be podcast services or on YouTube or whatever, like, we do a video for a reason. Like, it's just, hey, you want to chill and talk about games? We're moving further in that direction in terms of less, like, news and heavily structured and more conversational stuff. That's going to be our MO moving forward, hopefully. So, this is just us chilling.
The goal is to the ultimate goal is to get this this channel big enough so that we can just sell it completely to Polymarket, who will then rebrand it as the Polymarket Games channel. That is our goal.
I've been 100%, especially with all the people that have been like going out and the Polymarket and going out and like buying people to talk about the LA mayoral stuff or whatever. I'm like, if they want to give us a bag, this podcast has the reach of like Earthworm Jim, like in today's like in the modern era.
The Earthworm Jim of podcast. We can put that on the banner.
You give me a bag, because I saw someone turn down 10 months worth of rent from Polymarket because they were reaching them out because they wanted them to include like a link in like their newsletter or whatever. I'm like, we Scott and I will sell out depending on what it is, what you want us to say. But we are on the market.
Hold on. We will, not for anything.
No.
But we could.
Hey, what do you want? Like, hey, DMs, email, they're all open. We're taking offers. You want to be the title sponsor of the podcast? That spot's open. We got whatever. Scott and I are on the market, and we could be on the Poly market if for the right deal. Until they get completely shut down and relegated out of existence because
Right.
of legal issues in
Right.
6 months to a year. Regardless,
Right. Which we won't ever talk about if we are sponsored by them. So that's
exactly.
you know.
If it happens, this is going to disappear. Ooh, spooky. But if you
Yeah,
do,
we're that influential that if
yeah,
we stop talking about it, they'll be fine.
yeah, yeah. Uh,
They're like, woo! I'll sleep like a baby tonight. Now
yeah.
we're in the clear.
But if you do, the actual goal of the podcast is literally Scott and I get to catch up about games and keep up like abreast, because both of us read and keep up with the games industry, but we don't write about it as much anymore. Like most of what I write isn't news. Most of what I cover event stuff, and then I write about like a more opinionated stuff on my own time. So this is a chance for us to like actually dig deeper into the news and have discussions about like ongoing stuff, while still keeping it conversational and catching up outside of our gaming sessions when we play like Marvel Rivals or whatever. But the end goal of this would be if we can get enough like reach on the show to be, this gets to be the reason we get to reach out to people and be like, hey, we want a review code, or hey, we want, or maybe we get access to like events again, because it is getting harder and harder. This is a conversation that gets brought up all the time in media servers I'm in, and like just discussions with friends, where it's like it's getting harder and harder for anyone that's not at a major website to get access to like codes or what, like, I mean, I've reached out for more codes in the last like 2 months than I have in probably a good 2 years, because I don't really reach out for codes.
Mm-hmm.
Like typically the code, like when we were at Dot, I would have discussions about it and then I would reach out. But since leaving Dot, like I haven't really reached out for codes that often. But I found a couple games and I was like, oh, I'd like to talk about this, or like maybe do some like coverage on it or whatever. And I haven't heard back from any of them. And they were all relatively small games. Like they weren't like anything from a major publisher. Like I haven't reached out to like Capcom or anything, because I know what my reach is right now, and I know that that's not what they're looking for. But the point being, like that would be the end goal, is like, hey, getting us access back to some of these like press lists or some of these potential events, to where we could do actual coverage on our own outside of needing to like go somewhere else to do it, or have like like if I'm not at an outlet, I don't want to have to like be at an outlet to pivot that coverage to here. That's not what I want to do
Right.
if I was going to do
Right.
more coverage. So
Because you, yeah, because you want the freedom to be able to sort of write on your own
yeah,
your time, and because we've both been through the gauntlet of like pitching to places, doing little freelance gigs, doing little short stints at places, doing longer stints at places, and it's very saturated right now just
yeah.
in terms of writers. It's not very saturated in terms of like really good lucrative
No,
opportunities.
not good opportunities,
So
not good
just
like that, like a lot
yeah.
of like weird situations when it comes to like what you can actually get to cover, and like where's taking coverage for that. I mean, September is going to be hell for freelancers, and just generally, it's going to be hell for coverage. But like freelancers are already like reaching out for like, hey, do you have budget for September? People are already being like, we don't have enough budget for September. Like it's going to be a real issue.
Mhm.
Like a lot of these games aren't going to get covered very much. Which again, like Scott
Yeah.
and I are moving forward. Since we're making this more conversational, Scott and I will start covering stuff more here in terms of like what we're actually playing or what we're interested in. Like there's some games. It's going to be a lot of old games for me because I'm going back into my backlog a lot right now. We'll talk about that here in a little bit too. But when a game does come out and I'm interested in it, I get around to playing it, or if I play it at launch or I play it around launch, we're not going to get review codes for a lot of stuff probably, but when we do get around to playing a game, we'll still do like a review on the podcast and maybe cut it out and put it somewhere else or
Mhm.
whatever. So you'll still get coverage here. It's not like we're not going to have forms of coverage. It's just not going to be your traditional coverage that you would get from the bigger podcasts or like the bigger content creators or even like the traditional outlets. Like that's not what we have the opportunity to do right now. And it's not kind of what we want to do until we get those opportunities back. So that's just kind of where we're at. But if you do want to support us as part of this kind of relaunch of doing content again, so we've got new stuff on Booster Blogs. I'm trying to do an article a week, and I'm also going to have some archive stuff going up there, whether that be from old websites that those articles no longer exist or other things like that. I have also launched I hope at the time of this going up, those will both be live. I don't know if all the features will be live because this is kind of a last minute decision, but I finally bit the bullet on launching a Patreon and a Ko-Fi for the podcast / blog. It's going to be both. The main thing that you're going to get from that is just a quick overview here. There's 4 different tiers. You can go look at those. They're all give you different things. The main thing is there's going to be a Discord that is specifically for talking about a mix of the podcast, the blog, and streams / content. So there's going to be casual channels in there to talk about games, anime, manga, whatever, kind of like all of our interest groups mixed together. And then depending on what tier you support at, there's going to be a different availabilities for like where you can provide feedback, where you can vote on stuff, where you can do stuff like that for future discussions, ask questions and stuff for the show. Just directly give your feedback and directly influence how we improve or interact with like the community and stuff. That's all going to hopefully be live. It'll be improved over time. Obviously, I said this is a last minute decision because I don't think there's like a lot of interest in it right now. But I think doing that now and having that option there, especially since some people will probably want to ask questions there and not just in the comments or whatever, which that's still completely valid. If you leave a comment, YouTube or hit us up on social media, it's still very likely to see it. It's just this is going to be a direct route to discussing the show and like seeing Scott and I brainstorm a little bit or something at times. So that is now an option if you do want to support the show. It's very jank. I promise it'll get better. I can't promise how much better it'll get, but that is there for people who do want to support. Also, same thing if you subscribe on Twitch, it'll get you the equivalent tier on whatever and still get you access to that stuff on the Discord. So
Yep.
There you go. That option's there. Scott, that's pretty good catch up. Now we can dive into Lord knows how many video games.
A lot of video games.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about a lot of video games.
This was a pretty good. To preface this was a pretty good. I think this was a pretty solid overall week of presentations. There wasn't like one where I was like, I didn't watch all the little ones. Back when we did coverage, like when we did this coverage wise, we usually split coverage between the little ones. Everybody was there for the big ones, but we usually split coverage for the little ones. I only tuned in for a little bit of like the PC gaming show. I did watch recaps or watched later. I did what the Black Voices in games, and then the women led, and then the story driven or story focused.
Mm-hmm.
I watched those later or watch recaps of those. So I did do more than a lot of people in terms of watching, but
Day of the Devs was actually
yeah,
really
Day of the
good.
Devs was dope. I had that on in the background.
I liked from there. If anyone, so if you're like, oh, if anyone's watching and they're thinking, oh, little one, but you probably there's a lot of people who probably just watch State of Play, the main SGF showcase, the Direct, and then the Xbox showcase. But I know I was looking at it to just get caught up on some of the smaller ones I missed. Engadget has a really good Jessica Condit. She published today actually. It's a big roundup. It's all the shows. It's the highlights from each show. A great way to kind of like look at all the shows and make sure there's nothing you miss. So
But that doc, I'll put that at the top of the doc. I'll include it in the description for the episode so people can quickly catch up there. But yeah, we are going to be recapping the 4 main shows. Obviously, they were not all connected. The 4 main shows were Sony had a State of Play. Then we had Summer Game Fest, which is Jeff Keighley's big summer event. Then we had the Xbox Game Showcase. And then we had the Nintendo Direct, which aired on Tuesday. So that's about exactly a week of content, basically, because I think the State of Play was also on a Tuesday. So we had about a week straight of just straight up game announcements and stuff. Obviously, there's a bunch of cool stuff that came out of the little ones. And you should definitely go look up a bunch of the indie game announcements. There was a bunch of really cool stuff there. A lot of the stuff that I'm most excited about is from those, but this is going to be focusing on the main stuff. And then maybe if we have time with next week's episode, we can talk about some of the smaller announcements that we're more excited about. But starting with Summer Game Fest, because it's the big one, we'll get into, even though PlayStation was first, we'll start with Summer Game Fest.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to lead off talking about our 2 biggest, we each have 2 takeaways that were our biggest announcements from the showcase. We'll talk about that. And then we will talk about the showcase kind of as a whole. Scott, do you want to start or do you want me to?
Go first. Take it away.
All right. My first one was actually I. This is a little bit of a cop out in terms of what was shown at the actual showcase, in the actual Summer
Hmm.
Game Fest, because I actually didn't like all of what I saw during the trailer for this. But my first one was Virtual Fighter Crossroads. This is the name
Okay.
drop of the new Virtual Fighter that RGG Studios and Sega are working on. After we've seen it for a couple years now in terms of teasers, and I think it actually got teased 2 years ago at uh, the Game Awards was the first tease we got of it.
Yes.
We've seen it on and off. We saw a little bit of gameplay of it last year during Evo. We got to see like a training stage and some actual like gameplay of that, which is what I thought we were gonna get here. Uh, but this was all an entire story trailer showcase. This was all about the story stuff. So I wasn't very thrilled with the initial trailer. I think it looked great. I think the like the acting and the visuals, especially like the facial stuff, were really good. Which was never in doubt because it's RGG and it looked like from what we've seen already of the game, it looked like that was going to be really good. I wanted to see more of the actual fighting and more of the actual gameplay in that way. But they had a showcase after the fact, like directly after Summer Game Fest,
Mm.
that showed a lot more and had interviews with the devs. David Hayter's working on the story scenario for the game. The main guy that has done like a lot of the story for like a lot of Persona and Shin Megami Tensei is working on it. Like they are going all out to make this story mode actually something that is like unique for a fighting game and just like really solid all around. Like there's I think there's 3 or 4 characters they're going to be playing as, all from different backgrounds, all with different fighting styles. They're all going to be intersecting with different characters. Like they all are going to have their own stories, but they're going to be intersecting with different characters from the lore of Virtua Fighters past. Because all these characters are like legendary fighters in terms of like what they are in the story. They can intersect. There's going to be different ways you can take the story. There's going to be different like interactions and stuff. It like from what they showed there, it looked really sick, and it turned me around on what I was kind of like a little undersold on. Which I'm really happy for because now I'm even more excited for this game than I was because I'm not a big Virtual Fighter guy. I played 5 World. I don't even remember what there's like 3 different versions of 5. When they did the first, they brought back 5 for the first time during the COVID era. Uh, and
It's anime games and fighters that have the most like multiple versions of a single
yeah, like
game.
they're all over the place. But like Virtual Fighter 5, well, because you got Virtual Fighter 5, Ultimate Showdown, I think is what it was called. That came out during COVID, the COVID era, and that was like free on PSN, and then later came to PC. And it was the first new version of like first new release of a Virtua Fighter game, and a first re-release of 5 since like 2013 or whatever, 2014. And it was really good, and I played it and had a good time with some friends. And then they released Virtual Fighter 5 Revo World Stage, which is the newer version with new content, new balance updates, new a lot of stuff last year. And that was really good. Really fun game. And they started doing tournaments for it again. And it was like, dang, they're really trying to like start getting a groundswell movement here for when they release the new Virtual Fighter. And everything we've seen about this one looks dope. And it's 2 different teams working on it. Like there's the classic Virtual Fighter team, and then there's this team at RGG that's working on it. Obviously RGG also is working on the other stuff too. But yeah, that
Mhm.
surprised me with how much I liked it after watching the initial showcase. So I was a little skeptical of putting it there. There's some other games where I was
Okay.
like, I could put that here because I actually liked what I saw at the just straight up from SGF. But what I saw fully over the course of both showcases sold me way more on the story element of Virtual Fighter. I'm actually very excited for it now.
Yeah, I like that they're doing a story that's more than just like, oh, it's a tournament because I feel like that's you can really just
Yeah,
I feel like for fighting
this
games you can
feels
really just sort of
like
staple a
a
basic tournament like that or
this feels
basic
like a
story
weird
like that in there
mix
and
of
call it a day.
this feels like a weird mix of what Tekken 8 did and what Street Fighter 6 did. Because like Street Fighter 6, I liked the story mode a lot for what it tried to do. It was very fun. It was very RGG. It was very open world. It was very like you get to interact with this world a lot. But my one of my main complaints from that was the characters of Street Fighter that aren't directly tied to the story of 6 aren't there. Like they're just there
Mm.
for you to learn their moves, and that's pretty much it. They're just like optional side story stuff, basically. That's not to say that they're not there and they're not present and they're not like cool. That stuff is really cool. And up until the most recent update, we'll talk a little bit about Street Fighter 6 when we get to the recap in the event itself. But um it felt like they weren't a focus, and then they kind of just faded into the background. It feels like Virtua Fighter's the opposite, where these characters are going to be very involved in the world, and they're like legendary figures in this world that you are going to directly involve yourself in beyond just like cutscenes and beyond just like whatever. It feels like they're actually going to play a role for some of these characters that you're going to be playing as, which I'm very excited for because I like Tekken 8's story as a story more because you're so involved with those characters that you've known for so long and it's so just off the walls. This feels like it's going to try and blend the two of those and also just bring Virtua Fighter into a state where people that have never played a Virtua Fighter before, which is most people, uh, at least
Mhm.
most people that aren't in spaces like mine, it's going to bring them into learning who these characters are, which is going to be cool.
Yeah. It's gonna be it. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a good one. I do remember it was from not the past Game Awards, but the one prior because I was still freelancing at Insider
Mm.
Gaming when that came out, and that was one of the few non esports things that I wrote for Insider was that got teased that the
Yep.
newest Virtua Fighter.
Because no one knew what it was. Because that's what also when they teased Stranger in Heaven, Stranger than from Heaven,
Yes,
or whatever.
yes. Um, I was very interested by Crossfire. And no, I'm not talking about the multiplayer
You're
esport
talking
that's
about
really
the
popular in
single
Southeast
player
Asia.
element
And
that has been
I'm
working. The
the
second
single
attempt at
the
a single player Crossfire game in like 3 or 4
yes.
years.
But I don't think they share same IP, but this is the first game from That's No Moon, which is a lot of veterans who are making that game. Um, who was the leader from this
Isn't
one?
this the
I need
same?
to
This
look
is the
that
same
up.
IP, isn't it? This is the same IP as that like Counter Strike esque or whatever. Pretty sure it's the same.
It is. It is.
And
Yeah. Okay.
it's published by that
I didn't
company.
real. I I didn't honestly. I did not even
Yeah,
realize
we
that
had this
like
conversation
Crossfire, the
during the
multiplayer
present. We
game,
had in the during the
had
event.
I wasn't even aware it had a like that had a story or like
It
lore
doesn't.
to it. I thought
So
it was just like
the reason I say this is the second
okay.
attempt is because the last one was made when Crossfire X came out or whatever. There was a single player mode that was made by Remedy. Remedy made a
Oh,
single player mode that I don't even think is available anymore. Because that was a big thing because
I
it was being
we
made
should try and
between
find it.
control projects. But yeah, no, that because that was a big deal, and then it just kind of never amounted to anything. And then this got announced because Mike Drucker's working on this. I know Mike Drucker's
Yes,
working
he
on this
is
one.
because yeah. So this is a new studio. They
Mm.
founded 2021. This is their first game. It is a single player story driven. They're trying to like their big thing is like they're trying to like redefine like a you know, like a primarily cover shooter game. So you play the two characters you kind of control are or the two protagonists are these two soldiers who are on like differing sides of a war or have different ideologies, but they have to work together. There's like some weird sci-fi elements to it, like not like quite zombies, but like some weird infection, like that, like giving people like not like fire hands, but like weird red glowing skin and making them kind of
It
act
looks like
like
Extremis from
monstrous
Iron Man
and
3.
yeah, that's you know what, that's it.
That's what I
That's a
thought when I
great
saw
call.
it. Was
Yeah.
like it almost feels like that kind of story where it feels like there's some kind
Mhm.
of mutation going on. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Their big like new like technical marvel that they're talking about is adaptive cover. So
Mm.
as you like go past different cover of different heights and weights and sizes, your character will like change how they're hiding in cover based on what they are, as opposed to most cover-based shooters where you just kind of magnetically stick to a wall and then just on a rail go along to the cover ends.
Yeah.
Um, the only like cool adaptive thing I've seen from like cover based games is in the past is like I remember it almost became a running joke. Like in the division, you could like close doors as you were like getting into cover as a car, next to a car, and so you would and then everyone would just like run around as they would run around through the map. They just close as many doors as they can while sprinting past them. But it looks really interesting. The story is definitely intriguing to me. I mean, it's from a big team of people who've worked on uh, big single player story driven games before. I want to say that there's like Uncharted
There
people.
was just a bunch of Naughty Dog
Um,
people, is what I heard. This because when they announced that this was another
yeah,
thing
a
by
lot of
ex Naughty Dog people, I thought it was going to be Coven of the Witchfoot or whatever that we saw, the Chicken Foot or whatever we saw last Game Awards, that single
yes,
player game. I thought it was going to be
yeah,
that, but then it turned into this,
chicken fighter,
and
yeah.
so this is just a completely new studio. So, but I do believe it's a bunch of ex Naughty Dog people mainly, on top of bringing other people in.
Yeah, this is so yeah, I'm looking forward to see. I like that it's not just straight up like military like military
No, it's got some cool looking elements
driven
to it. I was
storylines.
I was also
There
impressed by
there's
this.
some cool like sci-fi fantasy stuff worked in there as well, which is always super interesting. Um which is so funny because if I've watched some of the like Crossfire like the multiplayer esports and it's just like everyone's just like flying and sliding across. Like cover isn't a thing. Everyone's just it's like Counter Strike on like steroids, or Counter Strike, but even like mixed with like Unreal Tournament a little bit, where everyone's just like flying around corners
Yeah,
and knocking people's heads off.
I saw like people
So this
propelling
is
from the
like
ceilings and a bunch of other stuff. It almost looked like a mix of Counter Strike and like Siege, in
yeah,
terms of like
this is
approach and
this
whatnot.
is yeah, and really big in like South like Vietnam and
Yeah,
Cambodia have like some of the
big
best
in certain
Crossfire
very
teams.
specific
Brazil,
places. Yeah,
China a little bit, yeah, but yeah, very interested to see more from that. But that was my first one that
yeah.
really caught my interest.
My second one is going to be the most obvious of the bunch when it comes to like me. It's the Monster Hunter expansion, Ascendance. We finally
Mm,
got the name, got like a look at kind of the vibe of what we're doing. It looks like you're going up. It looks like instead of going down, like one of the main areas in Wilds is you're going down into like this den. It's not necessarily a den, but it's like you're going down into like this depth of an area where you end up finding a bunch of stuff about some of the newer monsters in this game and like kind of their dens and where experiments and like stuff like that have happened. So this is like the opposite. You're going up. It looks like it's a completely new area, which is dope. You got to see some new monsters, specifically like these weird crab pelican looking things that like dive bomb you in groups, which is weird. But then you got to see like the return of some elder dragons. You got to see some tempered, I believe, some tempered monsters that already exist in the game that you're going to be fighting, which is just extra hard hunts for existing monsters with like better gear that you can get. I've been looking for an excuse to go back to Wilds. I finished the game. I played a little bit of like the first post-launch free update, but I never got into like I didn't buy the DLC. I didn't do any like the initial DLC, and I didn't do any of that stuff just because never really felt like it. I didn't do any of the high-end post-game stuff, but I had a lot of fun with it for like the 30 plus hours I played of it with and especially playing with my friends. So this gives me an excuse to maybe go in and finish all the free updates and all the collab stuff that they've done with like Final Fantasy and whatnot, and then prep for this when it comes out probably early next year. I'm excited for all the new stuff. I'm excited to go back and play with friends for another couple dozen hours. And we'll see if this holds up to Iceborne, which I didn't play a lot of Iceborne comparatively to I can't remember what Rise is, Sunbreak, the expansion for Rise when that came out
mhm.
on Switch. So,
Okay.
but I'm excited for this. This was just kind of hit all the notes I needed it to for a Monster Hunter expansion, and it's coming at some point. I assume between like January and March next year. So
Yeah, that it looks like more. I mean, Monster Hunters always look gorgeous, and the fights look really
it looks like they're
epic.
also
It just
adding
seems
some
like
new
it's gonna
weapon
be
stuff, which is
yeah.
cool. So you don't really get a lot of like additions to like the systems getting additional content on top of them is always really fun in Monster Hunter games. So I'm excited to see where that goes. But yeah,
If there was a game, if I was to pick a game where the swords are the size of you, it would be that one. It would not be the big revelation at the end of this show was Final Fantasy VII Revelation, which elicited a big groan out of me, just because I don't really care about Final Fantasy, and so that being like the one big thing. I know for there's so many people that absolutely like this is like
this is
the
Square
news of
Enix's
the year
golden
for them.
goose. This is like this was when they announced that this was happening to when it got reannounced and it was actually happening because before it got reannounced it was
Mhm.
being worked on by CyberConnect 2, and then it got reannounced as it was being worked on by Main Square Team. Uh, this is their break button in case of emergency game. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
we're finally reaching the end of it, and they've delivered on this,
Yes.
which no one would have ever guessed
Oh yeah. I
initially.
I want to give them credit. I want to give the creator credit for doing the little psych out where it's like, uh, oh yeah, I'll come out for the
The
Tifa and
Tifa and
Street
Street
Fighter
Fighter, yeah.
6 reveal. And oh, I'll see you guys later. And then he comes right back out a few minutes later to talk about this.
Well, did you see what he
I thought
did
that was
after the
fun, but
fact? What he was doing after the fact? He went on the giant bomb
what did he do
couch.
after? Oh no, I did see that.
Yeah,
Yes, I did
he
see
went
that.
on
And
the
he
giant bomb
and
couch. He
Mike
did
Minotti
interviews with
was
everybody.
just locked in.
Yeah. Well, not
Mike
only that,
Minotti had so
the
many questions.
that when I saw him going on that, I was like, that's wild. But then even before that, he literally went to Maximilian Dude's house and did a one-on-one.
Yeah. No,
Like they were locked
their
in.
PR team knows what they're doing. They're
Yeah.
locked in. they
Like
know
they
they
were
know what to do.
I
But my
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
well, I want to get to my
Yeah,
my second
we'll
big
talk
thing.
about Final Fantasy
I
in a
I
bit. Yeah.
I want to highlight a few things that just really quickly highlight a few things that we'd already seen or
Yeah.
had been announced and we just saw a little bit more of. That being, I mean, Galactic Racer. Obviously, I didn't need to see anything else to be sold on that game.
I tried to avoid
But
picking
we
stuff
actually
like that
saw,
where it's like we've already seen it. Like when we get to Nintendo, I
yeah,
specifically did
like
not pick Fire Emblem because we already have seen it. And
yeah.
actually, even though it looks like way better than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, as if it was, as if people didn't realize already. Yes, there is pod racing. I know there was a
Yes.
little bit of doubt. Some people were like concerned there wasn't pod racing. I mean, they had
Saboba.
clearly like
Yeah.
you can like race as Sebulba, like not in the story, but like in just like quick
Yeah.
races or online, whatever they end up doing. But and he'll be involved in the story. So clearly he's like clearly he's alive. I don't think
Yeah.
they showed him dying in Phantom Menace. He just crashed.
Yeah, they just showed the
So
crash. Yeah.
but now he's like a revered veteran who's been around and still races. We saw more of what else did we see more of that I was like, oh hell yeah. It was Control Resonant. Already excited for that. Didn't need to see any more. What I was really interested in the most, and another like caveat is like Guild Wars 3, just because we didn't really see anything substantial for it. It's just that we know that it's happening. I played a fair amount of Guild Wars 2 when it first came out. I know a former colleague of
Emily.
ours,
Yep.
Emily, is at ArenaNet, so we want to obviously support her and shout out to her. For me, I was very happy seeing what I saw from Star Wars Zero Company. This is one I was a little worried we weren't going to get this year. It's getting out there before September, not by a big stretch, but it's getting in there at August 27th. And it's very much, what I wanted to expect out of it is, or what I'm expecting out of it. It is Star Wars XCOM. It is a unique story, kind of set during the Clone Wars, which is
Mhm.
a very interesting
That
time
surprised me
period
a lot.
in
Yeah.
Star Wars history. And so the Anakin Skywalker little surprise at the end was cool that he'd be in the game, which makes sense because he's almost like he's like a mythical figure during Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And I've always said that like if you watch Revenge of the Sith after watching like the majority of Clone Wars, his like the kind of like mistakes the Jedi Order make, and like especially his frustration at not being allowed to be a master, like is so warranted if you've watched
Yeah,
the
because of
Clone
all
Wars
the
because
growth he
he like
goes through and everything he
saved
does during the Clone Wars.
also yeah he saves the Republic like dozens of times.
There are like
Um,
5
but
Jedi
yeah,
throughout
I
that
what
series that are like, hey, these guys are like beyond war heroes at this point, and 2 of them are
yeah.
like Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah, they're pretty important. I liked what I saw like with the different variants of the squad. So it's
Mm.
not just like you have these set characters and you have to play with them. You can interchange the squad. I'm curious to see if there are any characters that you can play with that um that if they can die or not. Because that's been a big thing. This is a lot of former XCOM people, and a big thing about XCOM is when you're dead, you're dead, and if you lose a player, a member of the squad, they're gone. Can't bring them back, and you have to train someone else. And so I'm curious if like major characters, if
It
they can die, like what kind of how like the game like will account for that if that
it will
happens. Like
be like Fire
obviously,
Emblem, I think, where Fire
okay.
Emblem, same
I
thing.
haven't played Fire Emblem, so you have
Fire
to
Emblem is
explain
very
that.
is a tactics game like XCOM, where if your character dies, they're dead. Like your unit dies, they're dead. They're gone for the rest of your playthrough unless you reset. The only caveat there is if your Lord character dies, which is like the main character or whatever main story
It's like a
character
game
is.
over and you have to
Yeah, like so,
restart.
like if you're playing the original Fire Emblem and Marth dies, it's game over and then you have to reset. But if like any of your paladins or like anything, like if any of the side characters die, they're dead, regardless of how much progression or how much like unity they have, like camaraderie they have with the rest of your units. They're just gone. Like that, which was a huge deal in
I'm
like uh for the first time Awakening, which was the big one that brought Fire Emblem back on the 3DS. Uh, that one was the first one to add a casual mode where you could play without permadeath, but it also added, hey, you got kids. So if these people die, these kids just don't have their parents anymore. Like,
that's war. That's
so
war
I
for
think
you.
it's gonna be like that. That would be my guess. It's like the main
Yeah.
two characters
The
probably you can't
There'll be
lose,
a
but
couple characters,
yes,
yeah.
if I had to
That
guess.
I kinda think the same. But there was a lot in this show that was pretty interesting. So, like, I just have this unfortunate, like, thing where now I have to compare it to last year's Game Awards in terms of, like, announcements, which is just I like, last year's Game Awards, like, this past December was just, like,
Yeah, it was everywhere.
uh,
Yeah,
was just incredible. It was the 2 Star Wars games. It was Galactic Racer, Fate of the Republic. It was Lego Batman, which I just rolled credits on, and was great. The Divinity from Larian. They announced Control. I believe they announced Control Resident at last year's Game Awards, or they showed more.
I think it was announced.
I think it was announced, yeah, and so, like, if you look at the whole week of, like, say, like, Summer Games Fest, then I think it's comparison, but, it's just hard for it and that's just something that I gotta, like, get past. It's like, okay, like, there's some good games on this there are some good games on this show.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff here. There wasn't a lot for me at this showcase. Like, out of all of this stuff, I'm a big Shadow of the Colossus guy, so seeing Jin Atlas actually get like a little bit of gameplay and stuff, that's cool. That game is actually moving forward. Looked pretty fun. Looked interesting. Some of the
Yes.
interviews that have come out after that sound pretty promising about like where the inspiration for that game came from and how weird it's going to be in terms of what you do with that giant
Mhm.
robot head. Uh, like the I am of the opinion that the Last Ronin as a Ninja Turtle thing is a little bit overdone. I think it's a little overhyped. I think it's overstayed its welcome quite a bit in terms of a concept beyond the initial comic. I still love the Last Ronin as it is existing, and I think giving Platinum the reins again, because they obviously made a previous Ninja Turtle game that wasn't very like well received, but giving them the reins on this one where it's going to be a single turtle, it's going to be a multi weapon swap like character action game by like that team. I think this is going to go over really well once we actually get to see it in action. Let's see, like a lot of this stuff again we've seen, or like I'm just not like too crazy hyped on, or we've gotten news post Game Awards where I'm less hyped on it than I was before.
I'll say that the games I was most excited for at this show were mostly ones that I already known about. Like I said,
Yeah,
Galactic Racer, Control
which is a
Resonant,
lot of
really
what
big.
Jeff
I'd say
does.
in terms of the reveals was nothing like the new Cuphead, a Cuphead
Yeah,
sequel, and then the little
the little
arcade
one that's coming out
platformer
soon.
they're
Yeah.
working on as well. Those look good. I will very likely play those, and I'll play Zero Company. Blood of the Dawnwalker, also one that we knew about and we saw a little more of. I'm very interested in. It's very my girlfriend is a big Witcher fan, said that it
Mm.
reminds her of Witcher a little bit. So and I enjoyed Witcher 3 Wild Hunt a lot. So I'll definitely check that out as well. But yeah, I think overall it was a good fun show.
Yeah.
We had like a little prediction pool at work about what would happen, and I was completely wrong. I said there would be a Steam Machine date, didn't get one.
No.
I said that Jeff would kind of like crack a joke about the one last big thing,
Yeah.
like make like a not
He
like a,
did that.
high,
He
a
did that
joke,
on
not like a
Twitter.
joke about High
Did
Guard.
that on Twitter a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then I think my last was I forget what something Muppet related. We got puppets there, but we did
yeah.
not get Muppets, so
True.
technically does not count.
The last two things I want to talk about, I want to mention this because I saw it brought up. It's been especially in a lot of reactions and stuff, where the Street Fighter Six for the last 2 years has revealed its year of next characters at the Game Awards or at Summer Game Fest. So we knew this was going to be here most likely. We did. We got the year 4 character pass announcement. It's 3 new characters, 2 brand new characters, one who's in the story of 6, and then Tifa. The fact that people, when they saw the 3 new characters and then are like, oh, man, that's super lame. Oh, give us Tifa. We got to have Tifa, or like, we got to do this or that or whatever. And just being bummed out or saying that we need crossover characters in these DLC packs or whatever just makes me sad. Like, the people just can't get hyped for stuff with it when there's no like connection to something else. Like when Tekken announced that whatchamacallit from Baki is coming, the Baki's dad is coming as the final DLC character for this Tekken Pass. That was wild and nuts and fits Tekken perfectly for what it is. So like I can understand getting overly hyped for that. But saying you need Tifa in this pass, because the leak was completely wrong outside of Tifa. Like there's a leak that happened a couple months back where it's like Vega, I can't remember who else, and then Tifa was the last one. I'm super pumped about this. We're getting 2 completely original characters and one who was like my least favorite, one of my like, I don't want to say one of my least favorite parts of the story, but it felt like the way the story of Bosch ended in 6, because we didn't know he was alive basically until like recently. I think having 3 brand new characters is a great way to try and flesh out the existence of Street Fighter 6 beyond, because we've already got a lot of legacy fighters in the last 4 years. Let's get some new blood in. Let them try new things, just like they did with Luke at the end of Street Fighter 5 before 6 came out. So let's do that, and then sure, toss Tifa in as like a really cool thing. It sounds like her systems are going to be dope as shit. They're making materia function and making her like her special. They're making her fit Street Fighter, but they're bringing elements of Final Fantasy VII into Street Fighter, which means she's gonna have a really weird gimmick or a really cool gimmick that's gonna function completely unique to every character in the game. It's gonna be awesome. I'm hype about that, but it bums me out to see a lot of people basically being like, "Oh, well, Tifa saved this battle pass, or Tifa saved this character pass." Like, just enjoy shit. Enjoy the game. Street Fighter 6 is one of the most polished
on the internet.
No, okay,
Enjoy
look,
things.
they can't do that. We know that. I'm just being like the
How
fact.
dare
The fact
you're
that,
asking too much of them, Cale.
look, I'm just upset because people are always whining about like Street Fighter 6 needs to like change their systems. I'm like, the fact that we're 4 years in and we're still playing the same base game systems as Street Fighter 6 with like minor adjustments and fixes shows how good that game was at launch in terms of a balanced game. And that's really good and not something you see a lot from fighting games, especially like prior to this generation.
Yeah.
So like, please just enjoy the shit.
They need to be happy that. Yeah, I mean, hey, I guess in hindsight, you can say that like, hey, at least they're complaining about this and not like we need an entirely new game. We hate Street Fighter 6, blah blah blah. We make a new one. Like
we're gonna get Super Street Fighter 6 next year or whatever for the 40th anniversary. Next year we're gonna get. My guess is we're gonna get an official port of Third Strike in some way with online play, like upgraded online play or something, and then we're gonna get maybe another collection. I don't know what else they can include in a collection unless they're going full 3D and starting to put like Ultra Street Fighter 4 and stuff like that in there, which they could. That could be a fun thing for the 40th anniversary. And then I think that we're going to get like Super Street Fighter 6 or some upgraded version of the game with all the DLC bundled in, more characters, more features, more everything. And they're waiting until next year to announce it for the anniversary. Last thing I want to talk about the showcase is Final Fantasy VII Revelation. The last big announcement, obviously. Pretty much everybody saw it coming because it's about time. We knew it was going to be probably released next year, and we knew it was going to show up at one of Jeff's showcases. This fits the timeline. Probably going to be released between like March and May. I would assume probably March or April next year. But looks dope. They're doing a lot of cool stuff. Looks like they're going to do justice to the end of this retelling, like slight revamp of 7. Gameplay looks dope as shit. They're adding a job system, which is going to make it even more dynamic of a battle system. Obviously, we saw Vincent, we saw Sid play. I love Sid. Sid's one of my favorite characters in Final
Hmm.
Fantasy, so I'm super excited to play as him finally. Uh, I mean, it just looks
You can
awesome.
Fortnite glide
Yeah,
into the map
drop
now.
down wherever you want in the map. It sounds like it's gonna be as bloated as Rebirth was, which I'm not stoked about as someone who's not a huge open world person. But if it's
Yeah.
as good as Rebirth was quality wise, I'm not gonna complain because I'd rather have it be bloated at that quality and still impress
Yeah.
me than be poorer quality with less content. Like I'm not gonna do the trade off there. So also the big one of the
Yeah.
big things here is while we didn't get a full date, it is now simultaneously launching on all platforms, including Nintendo Switch 2. It is no longer going to be a timed PlayStation exclusive. So Square is fully on
That's
board,
big.
fully on, which we'll talk about again in Nintendo, fully on board with, hey, we're no longer doing anything in half measures. It's all across all platforms. So
Yep. I think that's smart. They're preparing. They're letting the bank know. They said we're gonna make a big deposit soon. It's just you wait. It's coming. Well, speaking of PlayStation, I think we should talk about the state of play because I think this was my favorite of the three
I knew you were going to say that because I
individual
know what kind of games you're into,
publishers.
which I think I'm the exact opposite. I think this was my
Yeah.
least favorite
I mean,
of the.
there were things I liked from the other shows. We'll talk about that too. But there was a lot in this show
There,
that I really
not to say
liked. I
this
was
was
like, oh
bad
yeah, I'm
for
gonna
me.
play that.
This was not a bad showcase. I want to make sure people understand that PlayStation's way of making games is just slowly becoming less of what I enjoy about games. Just a quick
Mm,
overview here for before we get into like what we were hyped, because this is one of the reason we're putting Xbox and PlayStation next to each other, because they were the smallest of the two in terms of what was talked about overall in terms of scope. So uh I don't know, like Wolverine getting the extended showcase and showing what it did and them confirming it's basically an action game, not an open world game. Sold. I was already going to
yeah.
play it, but now I'm even more sold because it's
Yep.
going to be more focused down, which is what I didn't. I
Yeah.
loved Spider-Man 1, but by the time we got to Spider-Man 2, it felt too big. It felt like it was trying to do too
Mm,
much. So I was getting a little tired of that formula. So them scaling this down to be more focused and more of like a you're
which makes sense for
Wolverine,
him.
it makes a lot of sense for the character. I'm way more hyped for this. I'm also like X-Men a lot.
Yeah.
So very hyped for that.
Yeah. This was
Uh
and the combat wise, it looked bloody and gory and super, which is what you want. I mean, so right now I'm enjoying playing a different bloody good time in a on a PlayStation exclusive. I just finally got into I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, but I am starting with Ghost of Yotei,
okay.
because it's a newer one and steps to that one's like a much more it's much more refined
It
because
is.
they took all the lessons they learned from Tsushima and made just a super refined, excellent game. And yeah, it's absolutely excellent. I love the combat in it, and so more 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 bloody good violence on the PlayStation console. I'm all in for it. This was great. Love seeing Jean Grey. Love seeing the motorcycle stuff, which looked crazy.
Yeah. You just want to dive into
It looked awesome.
our picks here because again, this was a smaller showcase.
Yeah,
So you want me to
sure.
start or you want to?
Um, well, mine was gonna be Wolverine, which we've
Yeah,
already talked
I
about.
figured
So, but
I
I can
went.
find two more.
Yeah,
So you
it's
go.
fine. We can like you don't have to pick more.
You grab it.
Well, my one of my first one was Kamori, which is the
I know. Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah,
that was gonna be one of mine. Yeah, great.
yeah. That's why I said we don't need to pick more. We'll just talk about shit. But yeah, Kamori, which is Akumi Nakamura's new game. It I'm not a huge fan of these like group go do thing games. I say that as like I play. This looks like really weird Monster Hunter inspired thing with like weird
Hmm.
yokai powers, unique traversal mechanics,
Yeah,
very stylized graphics and world. Uh, I am very
yeah.
interested in seeing where this goes, and I hope it lands because I am not a big fan of these kind of games, but when they do hit, they hit really hard. And this one looks like something I can convince a couple of my friends to pick up and enjoy because it's so weird.
This is a game that where as they were showing it, it started off like, oh, okay, maybe I get. And then by the time the trail ended, it was like, Okay. Oh, now I was way more interested in the game by the
Mm.
time like the little part of the showcase ended than when it started. And like you said, the traversal, all the like cool paranormal stuff. Yeah, that's when I think Steph and I are considering playing together. It looks really really fun, and it was great seeing Akumi on the stream.
Yeah, this is the
Everyone
first time
loves
we've
her,
seen her
and so
back since she announced her new studio.
yep.
So
And so this is their first game, right?
yeah, this is the first time we've actually seen the game in action.
Yep. Yeah, I thought it looked great. And yeah, so many good things at this show. I love seeing a standalone prequel to Dave the Diver. I did not have that on my
That
bingo
was my other
card,
one. That
but
was my other one on my list because I
the the
liked Dave the
the
Diver a
the
lot.
Banjo the Chef game.
Yeah, that was my second one on the list because obviously like Tokon's something we've seen before and the character reveals were cool. But
Mhm.
yeah, no, like I like Dave the Diver quite a bit. But I wasn't expecting like we're obviously getting like the expansion or the sequel or whatever, the in the forest or in the jungle that's
Yeah.
coming at some point in the future. But I was not expecting to see a spinoff and b a spinoff that I was actually interested in because it looks like they're basically taking like all the cool character elements that they had from Dave the Diver in terms of like how you build out some of these characters and their interactions, and they're putting it on one of the most interesting
Mhm.
characters from that game and being like, hey, you're just gonna go through as him, and you're gonna get to interact with a bunch of characters and do a bunch of fun mini games and
Yeah,
learn and
cooking games. It looks great.
yeah,
Yeah.
looks like something I'm gonna be very into for at least a couple hours, which is all I need.
Yeah, I mean that's when I was really that one was like, oh, like as soon as we saw it, I was like, oh hell yeah, because we again both of us love Dave Diver as well, so that was a big one for us.
Yeah, I mean the other
Um,
like Ace Combat here, Ace Combat 8 Wings of Thieves was like another one where I was like I already know I'm gonna play it, so I don't need to get hyped about it. But like
mhm.
what we saw was cool. I'm glad more people are gonna get to see it. We got it announced that they're doing one of the they're doing a bundle where if you pre-order the game or purchase the early version of the game, you get a free port of an older Ace Combat game, which is dope.
Okay.
So that's fun. But like I didn't need more of that. And then beyond that, like the only other thing that really stood out to me here, because most of the stuff in here wasn't for me. I mean, we got more Onimusha, which is like I'm not an Onimusha guy. I'll probably play this because Capcom has just been on a like unmatched tear of making good games, and everything I've heard about the demo is awesome.
Yeah, they're on a hot
Uh,
streak.
yeah, like they've just been killing it. But the only other one where I was like, yeah, that seems like cool was the big reveal at the end. Where wait, first off, getting God of War anything cool, like that's fun. Getting a God of War spinoff that takes place in like this weird wonder like Alice in Wonderland afterlife of the gods, where it's gonna pull in like different mythologies and do some wild shit. Uh, with like more character like more like fluid character action stuff that's not as grounded because you don't have to play as like you don't have to play as like the version of Kratos that we've grown used to over the last two. But then just
Hmm.
like the fact that we got 20 minutes of uninterrupted gameplay, which was dope, but then they don't even have like a time frame for it or don't even have
No,
like
yeah,
an
they
actual
just
date
they're
for it.
just like
I swore that since they were getting 20 minutes of because we this quote unquote leaked early, we knew
there'd
this
be a
was
date.
happening. Uh,
Mhm.
that we got 20 minutes of gameplay. As soon as they said we're getting 20 minutes of gameplay, I was like, we're getting a date after this. It doesn't have to be November, but we're at least getting like a spring 2027 date somewhere in this. And we didn't even get that. I'm like, this
No.
game is either way longer than we think it is, or it is they just really wanted to get people in on the ground floor of this because that is a decision.
Yeah.
Because now they can't have this show up more than like two more times at a thing before you give a date. Because otherwise people are gonna get sick of seeing it. Because we've already seen so much of it.
Yeah.
We already saw the first 20 minutes of the game, basically. So you can
Yeah.
show,
I I I I loved everything I saw though, I just wanna say.
yeah, it looks great.
I'm really interested in that. Yeah, that looks great. Combat looks fun. I'm really interested to explore like this, like you said, this afterlife world. Um, the only thing was like the cube took me out of it a little bit. I'm like, okay, I know we have like fun little companions that come across in these new God of War games, but like
It
just
didn't
to
take me
get
out of it,
gelatinous
but seeing
cube.
him like
Voiced
headbutt,
by Jack
yeah,
Quaid.
seeing him headbutt the other god of war, that she was fighting, like
Yeah, him like
yeah,
involved in the fight
just
was
coming out of
really
nowhere and
funny.
like bouncing
It's like,
off of him.
oh,
I was like, okay, that's funny, but that's a little weird. I do wonder. I'm
yeah,
very interested in like the lore of the sword. I want to know what the sentient ribbons, and I
yeah.
want to know what that has to do. I want to learn about like I want to learn about the other gods of war that are going to be there. I don't think it's all going to be different gods of war. I think there's going to be other gods that are there dragged in. Uh, I think people are misplacing how they're going to tie this into what's happening during Ragnarok or during the journey of Kratos and Atreus during even the first God of War. Not sure how much this is going to coincide with that versus just being its own thing. But I'm excited to see where it goes. I think this scenario opens way more than I thought it was going to for really cool interactions, and that's kind of all I want. Even if I don't know if I'm going to end up playing this. I didn't really vibe with all of Ragnarok, especially by the end of it. I was kind of just it's the same thing with Spider-Man 2. I think the first game super tight, super concise how for the entire playtime. And by the time I was done with it, I was like, that was a really, really good game. I obviously like God of War more than I like Spider-Man, but for that first game. But like by the time I was done with Ragnarok, I was just like, tried to do a lot. Like you could tell that it
Mm.
felt like they were
And
probably going to do
that's
a trilogy at some point, and they just they condensed it
mhm,
down. Not that they did it poorly, just that
mhm,
there's just a
mhm.
lot there. And by the end of it, I was feeling the drag. So I'm not sure if
Yeah.
I'll pick this up day one or how excited I am to actually get hands on with it. But maybe if there's a good demo, or maybe if I hear good things from previews, then I'll start getting more excited about
Yeah.
it.
I'll say Steph is definitely getting that day one. That was
I,
like that might have been her game of the week in terms of what we're seeing.
yeah, it's
The
dope.
last thing from this show that really like was like, oh hell yeah. I mean, we saw No Rest for the Wicked, getting a full 1.0. I think that's cool. Phantom Blade Zero, I thought looked very
We
nice.
also got a
Silent
1.0
Hill
for Power
Townfall, I'm
World
a
at
little bit
Jeff's thing, which was funny.
inter- we did. But one thing that I popped for, a new Stuntman game. Hell yeah. I love I like got transported back to like being a high schooler and renting Stuntman Ignition from our local Family
A lot of
Video.
people were saying that. A lot of
And
people were like, "Dang, I remember renting Stuntman back in the day." Like that was
yeah, I'm buying Stuntman Hollywood. That looked like really fun. I'm embarrassed that it took me that long to like figure out what it was, but I was like, okay, like a driving game, like maybe a Need for Speed. And then I saw Knight Rider. I was like, okay, now I'm not sure. Then it like switched to like more like a Mad Max kind of thing, and then a DeLorean showed up, and then I was like, okay, I don't know where we're going with
yeah,
this.
the
But
same
as soon
same.
as like since they had like the cut, I was like, oh my god, like, I guess like
It was a
it
dope
was the
trailer.
same moment as when the first like pod racer speeded past in the Galactic Racer debut. I was like, like it dawned on me what it was. But no, that's just a fun little. If you haven't played Stuntman Ignition, like go watch or go get it off. It's probably dirt cheap on Steam right now. But just like a fun little arcadey. It's not even really a racing game. More like
It's like a
It's
time
hard to
trial. It's like a time trial like puzzle, almost like a puzzle game because you have to do specific things
kind of
within the
yeah
span of like a it's either time limit or you can't get your car damaged a certain amount or you have to hit certain beats of like a race
yeah
to
yeah
get the proper cut for the movie.
Yeah. And it's like you don't have to get it perfect, but you get like higher scores if you get it without making any
Yeah.
mistakes. So like it's like hit this U-turn, then go underneath this truck as it's flipping over you. Then it's like hit this jump as the explosion's being timed. It's
Yeah.
like bump this guy, but don't bump him too hard. Like
It's
don't
one of
knock
those
him off
things
of
where you're
little
going to be
things. And
replaying
then go
levels a
later.
lot to try and get a higher score. They're probably going to have like a quick replay
Yeah.
feature that
But I'm curious.
gets you back in.
I'm curious to see how they like advance it and do like what kind of new stuff they do with it. Because the first one came out in 2007, so it's gonna be like 20 years by the time this game comes
I
out. Because I'm
believe
not sure if they gave
also
us
something that came
a
out after
date.
the fact is that we got confirmation that Jurassic Park stuff is going to be in it, but because of some kind of dispute with whatever's going on with whatever basically kept the Jurassic World or Survivor game or whatever that we got revealed last year was also not allowed into these
Hmm.
showcases because of something going on with Jurassic Park IP. So I think that's also going
Cool.
to be in this game. I don't know what that's about, but I think I remember a headline like that popping up. So that's dope. It was a cool addition to the showcase that definitely needed a little pop during that like time frame. But yeah, you ready to move on
Yeah.
to Xbox?
Let's talk about Xbox.
This was the one I expected to have the least amount of things that I was interested in, and ended up beating out PlayStation in terms of things that I was interested in, which I was very surprised about. So they actually have a nice little graphic that shows off everything that was announced. So we can actually, I'll
Yeah,
run
they're
through
good. They're
this.
good. They do that every time. They're good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously we got the big blowout both before and after of Gears of War E-Day, because that's coming out very soon. It's what, October, I believe, is when that's coming out or whatever. Whenever that's coming out, that's coming out
Yes.
soonish. I
Yeah.
think it's an October game. But yeah, that's coming out. Then we got obviously the first look, the big blowout for Halo Combat or Campaign Evolved, which actually is launching in July, which surprised me. That was a very
It very
bold
it
release
really
date.
it came showed up really quickly. But hey, like I mean, with so much in September,
Yeah, it's a great summer game.
is there a big like aside from that, like what's like the big summer game
Splatoon,
coming out this summer?
and that's end of July.
Is
So
Halo competing with Splatoon
you'd be surprised with sales
realistically?
numbers. Wouldn't be
I
surprised
guess, I guess okay.
if Splatoon's up there.
Because like I'm thinking like there's the Black Flag remake in
Yeah,
July.
that's July.
That could potentially see
That's the end of
some
that week.
competition.
So
But as
that
far from
July
that, it's
2nd
like
and July 9th.
yeah, it's like we keep talking about the stack September. Summer is really kind of open. So if you can get a game out the door before like this big like like I said, the stack September, then I think it makes sense. Yeah, I really liked what I saw. It looked gorgeous. I funny seeing that like deranged Smash JT guy who's gotten into that
That I'm
legal thing with like Alyssa. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Like this absolute
brainworms, dude.
maniac thinks that like the little pink, like which is clearly like a ship or a moon or a planet or something, the little like this little hint of like blue and pink behind like Master Chief.
It's like
It's like
the bi is
bis-
bisexual
propaganda,
colors.
bisexual lighting.
They latch on to
It's
anything
just so,
because they're running out of ways to get
it's,
views without just outright being racist and sexist. Like these people are terrible
oh, it
people.
was so
It's so
good.
funny.
He's like, and I'm completely serious too. But yeah,
Cool.
but the game looked gorgeous. The game
It
looked
does. It
absolutely
looks good.
beautiful. I
The
like
one so
yeah.
this is the most I've ever believed Fable is actually a game. I know it's coming out. There's people that are like, oh, these like Xbox layoffs that are probably coming soon are gonna affect or might end up canceling Fable like it did Perfect Dark. And I'm like, you guys don't understand how game development works. Perfect Dark was nowhere near done.
Yeah.
Fable had a date, like
Yeah.
already had a date before this, and now they have an expansion announced. Like this game is coming out no matter what.
Mhm.
It's like it's close to
I'll
done,
say
if not done.
yeah. The little it was cool to see Haley Atwell in this. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
dope
it's
that she
her.
turned out
Like
to be like
she's
the
good in Mission
villain too.
Impossible.
Like that was
Yeah, like in
sick,
someone who
sick
like a
twist.
villain who's like, I want to be
I
the
need to be the
hero, but
only
like it's
hero because
like
I
being a
know what's
corrupted
best.
hero.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I'm very interested and like a big like tone shift from like the silly, whimsical like life simulator stuff they've shown, and like Richard Ayoade's characters like the Giants and like but it really got me more interested. What really got me interested a day ago, they have a big 30-minute like gameplay demo which like they put on the Xbox channel yesterday. Like then like you can see like a bunch of stuff. It really dives into what does it dive into? It dives into sort of the life simulator stuff, the population, who you can be friends with, who you can marry, how you can influence people in the town, how you can like how people react to you. Because you saw it throughout the trailer in the showcase about like they'll be like you'll be walking through town, so they'll be like, oh, there's that cunt that owns the store or whatever, some nonsense or depending on who you are, like, oh, there's the hero, and like how that all connects and really like it's very impressive from Playground Games who like have been doing like Forza for the most part, and they're like, let us take a crack at this big like renowned RPG series, and from what we've seen so far. And obviously, we'll see what happens when the game comes back in February, which is I think that was the thing that they announced before this showcase week is that they were going to push back Fable to give it like time away from everything else, which I do think is one, you want to give it that game. Just make sure you get all the bugs out. Make sure that it's all the all the finishing touches. Make sure you get all that, and also just get it away from this big, massive end of year, second half of 2026 stack
Yeah.
calendar. So yeah, I think I have a lot to be excited about for Fable. I agree.
Yeah, that one. I'm just gonna go through like I guess we can just do our list right now. So my first one
Sure.
uh I was originally gonna put Clockwork Revolution on here, because that one continues to be like, the more I see of it, the less sure I am that they're gonna be able to deliver on what they're talking about doing. Like specifically, not the gameplay or like the minute to minute gameplay or the like the characters or anything, more the world and that time leap mechanic that they're talking about, where you
Yeah.
can change stuff. I'm very skeptical of seeing that in actual action, which we saw a little bit in this trailer
Mhm.
here, but I want to see more of that before I'm like
Yeah.
fully sold, because that, if they can nail it, sounds absolutely incredible in like a Bioshock-esque game. uh, but I'm
Mhm.
worried about how that might actually be implemented, or how overstating they are potentially of that, versus like it being like a set thing that you do at like specific points in the story. Because the way they're kind of
Yeah.
posturing about it is that it's going to happen multiple times in like free flow potentially. So I want to see more of that. If it's coming out like summer next year, we'll probably get one more big showcase out of it. So want to see that. But I ended up pivoting and saying Magician's Devil's Deal, which got announced here, which is
Yes.
by an
Okay.
indie
Good.
team,
Okay. Yeah.
that's made a couple games before, and a couple of the games do have a similar style of like action ish from this perspective. But the concept of you being this magician that gets summoned by essentially the devil, and you have to work your way out of these situations because of the deal you made,
Mhm.
and the magical combat, like the weird tricks you're doing, the perspectives and stuff that they're doing with like the
It looked
backgrounds and
really
stuff,
fun. It looked
looks
really
really
fun.
promising, and I really hope it turns out good, because that is entirely my shit. So I pivoted because they're very
Yeah.
similar in how they're
That
going to play combat wise, versus like they're this like
yes.
first person kind of like action game with like interactivity. So one of them is one Clockwork is definitely more BioShock, but this is also in that BioShock frame a little bit. But this one, Magicians, is
Little
definitely a
Borderlands esque
little
with
bit
like the humor
closer.
and like the
Yeah, yeah.
which is it's I don't want to say divisive, but some people really like it, some people really don't.
It's
But
why I
if they
lean
like
more
you said, if
towards
they can nail
Magicians
these time,
and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, it's why if yeah. But no, I Magicians was one I was gonna pick. I thought that the concept was really cool, and we have what we saw from the sort of sleight
The
sleight of
sleight of
hand
hand, the
based
use of the
magic
wand is like
based
a to
attacks.
interact with the background.
It's like a
Like,
weapon. Yeah,
yeah,
that was it was very yeah, it looked really cool. So that's one I would go with as well. Um, I'm I'm interested. I need to see more from State of Decay 3. What they showed, I feel like wasn't enough. I feel like it was very kind of showing like
this was the initial
um
reshow since it got delayed, right? This is the first time we've seen it in action since it got
yeah,
delayed.
this is the first time we've seen it
That's
since
what
their
I
big
thought. It
delay,
felt
but
like
it
that
looked
kind of
like
trailer. It felt like
it,
a hey, we're reintroducing what we have kind of trailer.
yeah. Yeah, for me watching it, it's like, okay, I see, I see the play cards. I know you work with the team. That's a game that also like XCOM. There's permadeath, so you play as survivors.
Mm.
And then but if they're gone, they're gone. And I remember because in the first State of Decay, you have like they did this really well in the first State of Decay, where you have a character like Marcus is the first character you play as, and there's like a couple characters you meet, and it kind of makes it seem like, oh, this is the group that's going to be there forever. And then like the first time you die, you think, "Oh, it's going to be game over, or I'm going to go back to checkpoint or whatever." It's like, no, Marcus. He's just gone. He's gone now, and now you have to keep going. And they kind of went away with that in State of Decay 2, where like you kind of like you pick from a bunch of different characters that
Mm.
like you could like as like options, or you could like randomly generate one, and then like that kind of like that shock value was partly because the first one already showed what they're willing to do and that they're going to kill characters off. Um, but yeah, I just and this was really like I didn't really see anything in this trailer that was like, oh, this is a reason to get 3 and not just keep playing 2 because I feel like those games have a lot of endless replayability. I know because I endlessly replayed both of them. So I'm just curious what like the Blood Plague stuff. That's what they introduced into, like, and the stuff that's always been State of Decay, like the base maintenance, the vehicle system, the sort of like community management things where it's like, you'll run across, like, you'll have like procedurally generated survivors who will join. They each have traits, so they'll either be like, they'll have like, those can be either, perks in combat, or they can be like things about like how they behave at home. They can be really inspiring and everyone's like in a good mood all the time because the person's around, or they can be constantly getting in fights with people, or like, hoarding or things like that. And so really it changes up all your different playthroughs. And I did like, I want to know what's new in 3, and
My
they didn't
guess
really
is you'll
show that.
probably
So
get this at the next
I'm hoping they
developer
will.
direct. You'll probably get the deep dive.
Mhm.
That's what I would guess.
Like they do with like, but they go to the studio
Yes.
and then you get like a whole 20
And then you'll
minutes.
get even
Yeah,
more footage
that's what
because
I'm
I
hoping
think
for.
this is next year, right? So if they gave a time frame for it, then if this is next year,
2027. Yes,
yeah,
they gave a year. They gave a
I think we'll
year.
get.
So who
That's one
knows
of the four
when
because
in
they
the
usually
year,
do
but we got a
4 or 5 games in those. I think this will be one of the four in like the next developer direct, whether that or one of the next ones, whether that's at the end of this year or in the start of the new year. So, yeah, my next one. This has been like one of my most hyped things since it got announced, and we got more of it here, and we got an actual date for it. Castlevania Belmont's Curse. I love Castlevania. It's one of my. I
Yeah.
don't talk about it a lot because it's not. There hasn't been a lot of Castlevania stuff going on, but I'm a huge Castlevania
Mm.
person. Loved the. I literally just finished.
I love the
Yeah,
I was gonna say the show, the Netflix
yeah.
show. I the first
I
two
just
seasons,
finished watching
I thought they were
Nocturne
great.
because I never got around to finishing it. But yeah,
Oh, I don't think I've seen. Maybe
Nocturne.
I
Nocturne is
ooh,
with
maybe I have.
Richter.
I don't
It's the
remember.
sequel series with Richter. But
I don't think I've seen it then.
Richter gotta throw these hands Belmont. Uh, that dude is
Mm.
absolute stone cold. Just will fight anybody, no holds bar, whatever. But no,
No,
definitely
I've not seen Nocturne yet, but
it's
I'll put
not
it on my
quite
list.
to the level of the original, but it's still very solid. I really like it still. I like Richter as a
Okay.
character. So, but I love Castlevania. Castlevania Belmont's Curse. When that got revealed, I was like, dope. It's both teams I believe that worked on Dead Cells back together again, working on this. It looks like Dead Cells in terms of like the kind of structure of it and the visuals a little bit, but it's got that very clear Castlevania inspired art style and like characterization. Uh, the initial trailer, the initial reveal didn't do a whole lot for the gameplay. This did a whole lot for the gameplay. It's got a card system where you're upgrading your abilities, getting different abilities. The movement looks sick. The combat looks sick. The Rose is obviously the first full Belmont hunter, or the most recent Belmont is a woman. They make the comment of that. The bosses look sick. Like just everything about this game looks sick. It's coming out in October. I can't wait. They got the sick ass key art that got revealed at the end. Like it's just like, yep, everything about this is hitting everything I needed to. I hope this does well. We get more Castlevania in the future. Probably going to boot up at some point in the near future. I bought the Dominus collection, which is all the DS games that got re-released. Probably going to boot that up because I haven't touched that yet since I bought it. But yeah, I'm just super stoked for a new good Castlevania, like to sink my teeth into in October. Dope to see it here.
Yeah, I'm it's definitely one I'm gonna be eyeing as well. As for the rest of the show, is there anything else that really stood out to you? I'm curious about like the weird like supernatural like the lore and the story behind Valor Mortis, 'cause I know it involves like Napoleon and like
Yeah.
this. If it's a Souls like,
Okay, so there are
it
a
seems
couple
like it
here
is.
that like are the ones that like stood out to me as like, oh,
Maybe.
I'm because like I said, this showcase did a lot more to grab me because there were games that I'm interested in from it, more so than the
Yeah,
that are new. So Bad Magpie, I'm interested in seeing more of. I want to see what that is
that
more.
looks fun. Yeah.
Looks very cool, creative, like little small like slice that you're gonna get of whatever game that is. Super hyped for that. God, what is that? I can't read the title, but the anime game that they revealed with the very Ghibli style art that
Oh, Vivarium.
yeah, Vivarium. So it's by a new studio, but it's in partnership with a couple big companies like Crunchyroll and stuff. So it's got a lot of funding
Yeah.
behind it, and it looks dope. Very cool concept. The art style is awesome. They had a little twist at the end where you're in like a planter in a giant house and
Yep.
something. So I want to see way more of that before I'm like super sold on it. But from what I saw, that's one of those kind of games that I'm actually going to be interested in looking at. Obviously, we got new Spyro for the first time. Toys for Bob is working on a new Spyro
Hmm.
game. Excited for that. And then I still haven't played Doom: The Dark Ages, and this DLC looks dope.
Hmm.
So maybe this will get me into it because that's also either late June, early July. So that'll probably be something that might drag me into trying that. But I'm not a Persona
Hmm.
guy. I played Persona 4 on the Vita. That's the only Persona I've ever played.
Mm.
Uh, so I played that on the Vita and I liked it. But the Persona 6 thing was kind of lame, where it's just like, hey, get like a.
That was lame. Oh, okay.
I mean, because it was literally just, hey,
I mean,
this looks more.
I don't care about Persona either. So,
Yeah, well, I'm
it's
not a
more
Persona
spooky.
guy. I'm not
Okay.
really, but like, you get like this is more occult. Like we're going back to our Persona 1 and 2, like Shin Megami Tensei roots. It's gonna be look more spooky instead of like whatever, and then you just get a logo. And I'm like, why didn't they just put this after the Persona 5 or the Persona 4 thing? They like made it a delay. Like the way it was presented
Yeah,
is more
yeah,
disappointing
they
than the
should have.
actual confirming Persona 6 is
Yeah.
happening, even though we already knew it was happening. Like obviously it's happening.
I
So
was
it's whatever.
I was rather I never was really into Gears of War when I was like younger, like had an Xbox 360,
I
never
played
played
it
any
like
of them.
twice at a friend's
But
house. Yeah.
I was watching this and I was like, I think I kind of want to play this. I think it looks fun. Just like, a turn your brain off and just like have a big fun gory shoot around and just like tear up like just like a game where like there's no like big like, you have to like it looked fun. It just looked fun. I just want to run around and kill people with a chainsaw gun in in video games, Mr. FBI agent. Um yeah, I'm curious to see. I am curious like the lore behind. It's like how's like because like I said, never played the any Gears of War, so it's like how do you get to this point where there's like these like massive men who are like space marines sort of, and they're
Yeah.
fighting like are we on Earth? What are like and so but like clearly this is obviously Earth and how like this big
Yeah.
invasion begins. So, I don't know. I just
That's why it's called E Day.
I was interested. Yeah, yeah.
Emergence Day, I
I'm
believe, is
intrigued.
what it's called. I can't
Um,
remember the lore.
yeah.
I do want to preface this. So,
And oh,
do you have any other games that you wanted to mention before I get on to the next little bit here?
no, I do not care about Call of Duty.
That was the
I
lamest
haven't
way
for a
to end
couple
that
years now.
showcase.
That
I
was
literally turned off
I
the
think this is
showcase
one of the
early.
better shows that had one of the worst
There
endings
is
where it's
no
like,
reason for you to end on
really?
Call of Duty. Like you could have literally done a Call of Duty showcase after the Gears of War 1. And that would
And
have
it's like
solved all the problems.
if you're gonna end with Call of Duty, like and even like even what we saw, if you're a Call of Duty fan, I
I
feel
turned it
like
off.
it
I don't even
wasn't
know what they showed.
really that
So
interesting. So it's they're bringing back
I heard it was
DMZ. Remember
DMZ. I
DMZ,
heard
the
it was
thing
DMZ. Yeah.
I spent months on when I was working at Dot when it first came
Yeah.
out 2 Call of Duties ago. Um, it's like, but this one is like it's more of a pure extraction shooter. The last time it was like a weird battle royale extraction shooter
Mm.
hybrid. This one's like supposed to be more like a pure extraction shooter, but still Call of Duty. And they did the thing I hate. It's just very lame, where they have like players. I'm using big air quotes, like players calming
Oh
during the
no,
during
not
it.
that again.
And they're like, yeah, I was just
The
like,
E3
these aren't.
classic.
This is how this isn't how real people play these games. Yeah, it was. You know what? It was straight out of
It
E3.
was the E3
That's what the
classic, the
presentation felt
E3
like.
like player demo
Yeah.
classic. Yeah. I will say, so I should have prefaced this segment with this because we need to start doing that with some of this Xbox stuff. Xbox or Microsoft specifically is a company that greatly benefits from all the shit happening in Palestine, the Gaza genocide, and all that stuff. So we're not here to control how you play your games, how you consume your stuff, or whatever. But we do want to preface it with that because it'd be disingenuous to not highlight something like that. I can't remember. It's like the SDC listing. It's all like on a list of companies to watch, and then I just looked up the American Friends Service Committee, the companies profiting from the Gaza genocide listing, just to double check. I couldn't find the actual like name of that list because there's a lot of companies on that list. But if that is something you want to actively boycott, actively minimize how much you're interacting with that, something to look out to. Also important to note that there's likely going to be mass layoffs at Xbox, regardless of what all these big blustering people at all these showcases have said, because according to Bloomberg, Jason Schreier over there doing great work, also now a YouTuber. Shout out Jason and his mid-ass, no proper lighting, just webcam camera, good mic, like decent quality microphone, going at it and just story timing insider
he's just
shit.
sending it.
It's great. I love when he uploads because I just listen to that shit while I'm writing or whatever. I love Jason. Fun fact: that is the exact setup he used when we had back a couple of years ago. Him, Rebecca Valentine, Nicole Carpenter, who I don't know if you had a crossover with her at Dot, but I did for a little bit. But a bunch of
I
us,
think we just passed.
yeah.
I think she just left for the. I want to say, was it The Verge or Polygon?
Polygon, yeah.
It's
When she
Polygon,
went
right?
full time at Polygon,
Yeah.
and then like
Yeah.
I grabbed Jess, our friend Jess Schernagel, and then eventually I dragged CC into it. We had a pretty sizable like games media, like it's not like a powwow, but like we'd meet up every couple months to discuss like how to get it's like a how to get better, discuss like trends and whatever, and Jason would kind of lead the call and we talk about that. That's the exact same setup he had there, so he has not changed that shit at all. So shout out Jason.
That's awesome.
Jason's great. But yeah, so according to Bloomberg, obviously fiscal year, the next fiscal quarter is ending on June 30th, so you're going to get a lot of more fiscal updates, you're going to get a lot of earnings calls, you're going to get a lot of that kind of stuff. Microsoft's fiscal year ending on June 30th will likely involve layoffs because spending cuts to marketing and other areas are inbound. There's a leaked memo that's out there about like earning percentages being down like $500 million and percentages and all these other things that needed to be hit. And all this is in direct contradiction to people in February being like, oh yeah, the shakeup with Asha coming in will not involve layoffs, and obviously all that every time that stuff happens, it's a lie. My mutual over on Blue Sky, let's see if I can remember who did it. Kate Sanchez over from But Why Though, and a whole bunch of other shit. First off, she's done some great work at SGF, especially covering like college football and Madden and some stuff. So go if you like sports writing. She's been doing a lot of sports game stuff. But yeah, she posted about like working at Meta when Asha was there, and like just a bunch of how tech companies kind of function with these people that come in, and then these layoffs happen post whatever. Like there's been a whole bunch of discussion. Again, if you want to look at more of this stuff that we're not directly talking about outside of this, I've been posting about it a lot on Blue Sky, just like resharing important threads and stuff. I tend to do that. So that's something you can go look at more there. But this is direct contradiction to stuff they've said before. They just ran a giant thing. Friend of the show, Jessica Cogswell, posted a big thread talking about Xbox Fan Fest, which is the live event that they did for the showcase, where they took over part of the Oscars museum at the LA like arts and media museum, I believe. Like just a whole bunch of stuff, just unnecessary spending when this is apparently coming down the line. Like, and all these people, they're acting surprised that the Activision Blizzard deal is a failure. That is something we've all talked about since it happened. They're acting surprised that their console sales are down and their hardware sales are down and their game sales are down when they up the price of their Xbox twice in a year. When they put like all these unreasonable expectations on these companies. So we don't know who's getting cut.
They
we don't
made
know.
Game Pass.
Yeah, Game
Pass
Pass stuff.
Expensive within just the course of a year.
Which Game Pass is.
Yeah.
There's a whole argument in the Discord, in my Discord earlier today, about like, is Game Pass profitable, or is this that or whatever? And I don't think Game Pass has ever been profitable at any scale, even just counting like internally.
No.
From like if you're not counting external spend on other games, I think even internally with just their own projects, I don't think it would have ever been profitable at any scale. But the idea of what's up? Okay. But yeah, the idea of, hey, this is I don't even know what to start. I don't know. They're just overestimating Xbox for the last, like, since basically the Activision Blizzard merger was done or even announced in 2022. They've basically been overestimating themselves, and it's just been failure on failure on failure. And none of what they're doing with like a bunch of their major IP, except for maybe Fable, like legacy Xbox IP, legacy Microsoft IP, not like Activision Blizzard stuff like Doom or whatever, has
Sure.
basically just led to continued downfall. Like, oh, we're gonna do something with an old Rare IP in Perfect Dark. Oh, no, actually, we're gonna cancel that. Fable's gonna happen. Oh, Fable is
Yeah.
happening. We've got like we got whatchamacallit, the Bethesda game that came out a couple years ago. I forget. Whatever.
Starfield.
Starfield. Yeah. The fact that I can't remember the name of the game says a lot,
Yeah.
because that game did not do what it needed to do. And now they've got the whole, is it exclusive or is it not, tug of war going on with like all this mixed messaging. And it's going to be case by case, but not all cases. Sony's doing the same thing where it's like multiplayer stuff or like specific like published but not developed things will be on multiplat, but single player stuff like Wolverine will not be on multiplat.
Clockwork Revolution being exclusive was a bit surprising. Gears, I was like, okay, fine. Like that's an Xbox franchise. It always has been. The people who are excited about Gears probably have an Xbox or at the very least a PC.
Well, they're also terrible.
Well, actually, no, it's not going to PC.
It isn't. No, it is.
Oh, it is Xbox on PC. Yeah.
So what is happening is they were terrible at messaging this dude. They said Xbox console exclusive, which is a terrible way to phrase it, because all of these games will still be coming to PC, and I'm pretty sure they will also still be coming to Steam. It is only means that console exclusive to Xbox platforms, from what I understand.
It is according to their website, to the Xbox Wire, Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, Xbox on PC, so the Xbox app on PC, cloud, just as cloud.
That's just Xbox.
Included with Game Pass, and is Xbox Play Anywhere, whatever that means.
Okay, so maybe not Steam. Maybe they're going to try and revamp the Xbox store at some point soon, Steam, which is very dumb and stupid, and I don't know what that means. Regardless, however they're messaging this is a clusterfuck. No one's gonna
because it's Halo. Is Halo?
No, Halo is everywhere. Halo is everywhere still, because the reasoning they gave is that they already announced platforms for it. So if a game already had platforms announced for it, it will still honor those platforms. So like, I don't know about Fable, but like, I think they already announced Forza is going to come to PlayStation 5, which makes sense if that. But again, it's case by case basis too. So who knows? This could mean anything. It's just going to be like, I don't even know. It doesn't matter. It's dumb. Xbox is a terribly run business. Microsoft is milking it for everything it's worth, and there's going to be layoffs in less than a month that are probably going to get a bunch of games canceled and some studios closed. So take that for what you will. Didn't want to bum out all the cool announcements by talking about that, but that plus them benefiting off of the Gaza genocide, take that for what you will for all the Xbox stuff. Anyways, ready to get for the one that I'm most excited for, obviously. And I'm sure you have some questions.
A company that's never done anything wrong is no. I mean, nothing.
A company that I'm definitely not on some sort of list for. Yeah.
Nintendo Direct was announced on Monday,
came out on Tuesday, and boy oh boy,
delivered on Tuesday.
More divisive than I thought it was going to be, and it's all because majority of the announcements were RPG related. And so if you don't like RPGs,
a lot of RPGs,
didn't like this showcase. And guess what?
I love
RPGs.
I'm looking. Yeah, this was the Cale show. So
I was eating
through what was
start to finish.
It's a lot of.
I was feasting this entire showcase. So to an extent, I'm not the biggest fan of some of the stuff they got announced, but I got hit over the head with they gave me exactly what I wanted, and then they hit me over the head with my favorite thing ever halfway through the showcase. So like we could just get into that. So the only thing I wanted at this showcase, I figured we were probably gonna get Pokopia DLC or an expansion pass of some kind, because that's not something they would announce at the Pokemon World Championships in August. So I figured that was gonna be here. We got that. Completely surprise announcement of the potentially canceled but now not canceled expansion for Dragon's Dogma 2 happening. That's dope. Wasn't the biggest fan of Dragon's Dogma 2. I'll probably give it a go when it comes out. Onimusha day and date for Switch. Switch 2 appears that Capcom just has RE Engine working fully on Switch 2 now, and they could just port the shit day and date now. Awesome. That means that's great news for some of the stuff. Monster Hunter Wilds not being here, that got leaked. And like verified that was coming to Switch 2, so that might be a later this year announcement, closer to when they announced the date for the expansion, if I had to guess. because Capcom was all over
That's
the
surprising.
showcase.
It was
They had a
surprising.
lot of
Yeah.
Capcom stuff here.
Oh yeah.
Orbital's got a date. Super hyped for that. Looks great. Unfortunately, it's
That
another September
looked cute.
game.
That looked gorgeous. That looked gorgeous.
Yep.
Yeah, it's tough.
Let's see. Big Walk got a date here. We didn't have a date for that previously, I'm pretty
Big
sure. So
Walk.
Big Walk, excited to play that with people.
A bunch of games coming to it, like Stellar Blade,
Yeah, bunch of ports
Lies
finally
of
coming over and
P.
stuff. We got One Piece Grand
Wizard
Gourmet, which is
Phone
a One
2.
Piece
That was
cooking
wild.
simulator game, but it's by Kairosoft, the guys who did Game Dev Story, which is awesome. Like, this is a match made in heaven. I'm like unreasonably hyped for this game. I love Game Dev Story. It's awesome. So this is gonna be dope. Obviously, we got Pokopia DLC. We got the only thing I wanted from this. The main thing I wanted from this was a little bit more showcase of Fire Emblem and a date for Fire Emblem. I wanted it to be August. I'll take September because a lot of the September games I'm not going to be playing, at least right away. So September is not going to kill me like it's going to kill a lot of people. But September 17th for Fire Emblem looks great. The character, I was blown away by how the character paneling looks. So like when a character's talking, they have the character on screen in the bottom left and they're moving when they're talking. It looks awesome. I was blown away by that.
It looked good.
Looks great. Way more hype for this than I was Engaged by the time, especially by the time I finished Engage. But super hype for this. And then not 10 minutes later, they were like, "Hey, you know that thing you love more than almost anything in the world? Here's an upgrade for all 3 of the games, and then a brand new one." They were like, they were just like, "Yeah, we're not okay." First off, we got an announcement for Muramasa Revenant Blades, which is a Vita game or a Wii game. I can't remember which. It might be both. By Vanillaware, which I love Vanillaware. That's finally getting a port. This is a game that a lot of people didn't think was going to get ported, so that's really cool. It's a good game. But yeah, then we got Switch 2 editions for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition 2 and 3 announced. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition got it released day and date. It's already out. I've been playing it. I started a fresh playthrough of Xenoblade again. Unfortunately for my backlog and everything else I need to be doing in life, which is hilarious because they basically put Mario Kart in this game. They're Grand Prix for like the racing mechanics in this
Hell
game.
yeah.
And the memes that have come out of it have been great.
That's awesome.
Fully voiced heart-to-heart conversations. They got the cast from a game that's over that's going to be 20 years old soon to come back to voice conversations that have never been voiced. Like, they went all out for this thing.
They went all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 needs this. The game runs pretty poorly. It did not have a native Switch 2 version, obviously. So that's the game that needed it the most. And it's getting a new mode. It's getting new designs for some of the characters. It's getting a new, at least one new hero and new quest, which might tie into like 3. So there might be even more story content for it, which is incredible. And that comes out next month. And then Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is getting a roguelite mode on top of new content. Like, what? And they're all running 4K 60. Obviously, they're not the version that is running now on Switch. It's better than what they did for Xenoblade Chronicles X, because that Switch 2 edition was very bad. It's better than that. It's still not super stable, and I still wish it was better. From what I haven't experienced the worst of it. I've heard that some areas it's really bad. It's still better than what the base game is, but I've heard it doesn't hit the same metrics that it needs to. But I was not expecting all 3 games to get it. I thought we were only going to get 2. So and I did not think we were going to get new content. So,
and a new one.
Yeah, well,
and a new one.
The new one, that's another thing. So they announced this, and I was like, oh, that's it. And then they're like, oh, yeah, by the way, here's a new one, which is going to be completely from what we don't know for sure yet, obviously, because it's the first time we've heard of it. But this is ditching the Chronicles moniker, which likely means it's no longer going to be connected to that, directly to that story, because 1, 2, and 3 are all directly connected in various ways.
Yes.
So this is just Xenoblade Genesis, and it's going to be way more fantasy. This is like the elf, the elf race is completely new. We didn't see a Nopon, which is a big deal because Nopons are like a race in Xenoblade. The little like ball-like creatures with the big ears. Those are throughout all the Xenoblades. We didn't see one of those. We actually saw a different race that kind of might be Nopon adjacent. But like very magic focused. There's a dragon you're flying around on. I mean, it looks great. This is the first game developed for Switch 2, so they're taking full advantage of it. Obviously, Monolith is a workhorse when it comes to helping with games and making games. So this looks fantastic. A bunch of all the people that do all the music, a bunch of the story people are coming back from the originals. So I have nothing. It's coming out next year. It's probably going to be the summer game next year. So I am. This blew everything I wanted out of this presentation completely out of the water. Like, this is more than I could have
This
ever
was
hoped
your
for.
show. This was this. I mean, yeah, a lot of things in this show were definitely for you, not for me. But I was happy to see. The thing I was most happy with in this entire show, honestly, was like I kind of want to play the Nintendo Switch Sports Resort game.
Have
That
you
looks
played the
fun. Like I
original
loved Wii
Switch Sports?
Sports. No, I haven't.
It is
But this one looked
it
really
is a
fun.
good game that they didn't do enough with. I think this is going to fix a lot of the
Okay.
problems that a lot of people wanted more sports. They wanted more sports and more things to do. I think this will fix that, similar to how Switch or Wii Sports Resort was just a better version of Wii Sports for a lot of people because it had more to
Yeah,
do. I don't know if they've
that's what I'm
confirmed
feeling here.
that the fly around and view, like, you just fly around the island freely. Uh, Obviously, I don't think they've confirmed. I don't think sword play is in it, which is a bummer because that was a really fun mode from Resort, Wii Sports Resort. But it looks good. Like, I'll probably pick it up at some point. And yeah, I mean, that's fun. But yeah, this was basically a lot of ports and a lot of JRPG announcements for the most part. Because my first thing to talk about was just
With
everything
Xenoblade,
Xenoblade.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's like my favorite.
Everything Xenoblade.
Yeah, it's like my favorite game franchise of all time. So wanted to get that out of the way. And like, I've just been in a rabbit hole of lore. Like, all my favorite Xenoblade related content creators are posting hour-long discussion videos. Like, I'm in heaven right now. I'm getting everything I wanted. But the idea is, beyond my early birthday present from Nintendo, we're getting the first Final Fantasy game in HD 2D, like a full-on Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy Resonance. It's going to be this is the first Final Fantasy game that is going to be made in that style, and it's going to be a completely original game in a way. So for those of you who haven't kept up the Octopath Traveler 1 and 2 are completely original games. Octopath Traveler 0, which came out last December, is actually a retooling of a mobile game. So it was a mobile game that came out and had like unique story and unique characters and some gotcha mechanics, and it was reworked into a full released game that took a bunch of those mobile-esque mechanics out and retooled them into something else. That is what this game is for Final Fantasy. So I brought up the notes for this. This is the story is mostly based / adapted from the first season of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, which is a mobile Final Fantasy game that is no longer active online. It is no longer online.
Okay.
So this is taking parts of that game and retooling it into a completely original experience, full-fledged Final Fantasy. So we don't know how far it's going to go, but like the gotcha mechanic in that game seems to have been reworked into, when you see Cloud show up in the trailer, it seems to have been reworked into like summons. So you're going to be able to like summon Cloud, probably summon other Final Fantasy characters to help you in battle for like moves and stuff. So that's what it seems like. Notably, it is being directed by Hiroto Furuya, I can never pronounce his last name, who directed Harvestella, which is a very slept on Square Enix game from like 2001, 2002. There's like a farming game with like RPG mechanics that was really interesting. Also, notably for me, worked on another Eden, which is a which is like a mobile game that had like some ex Xenoblade people working on it, which is why I was into it. So coming from
Okay.
that,
Okay.
so he's the director, and then Keisuke Nakashima, who is from who worked on the ActRaiser Resonance. He's the producer on ActRaiser Resonance, the remaster. War of the Visions. He was a dev team 2 staff on the original Brave Exvius as an assistant producer. So he's actually working as the producer on this too. So it seems like they're bringing some of that team back that worked on Brave Exvius, pairing them with other people to work on this as a side Final Fantasy game, while the main teams are working on other stuff. Looks dope. It's coming out in October. I'm more hyped for this than I thought I would be. Looks the cutscenes look amazing. Like, absolutely incredibly stunning, like, work on the pixels. So I'm very excited to give this a go. But there's a whole bunch of information out there. IGN, Michael Higham, went and did a preview, like an exclusive preview of this. He's got a bunch of he got hands on with it. Talked to the director and producer, talked to Square people. So if you want to go do that, go check out IGN. Sounds great. But yeah, that was my one that we didn't already know about. That got me excited because a lot of this we already knew about or was just ports. Like obviously, I'm unreasonably hyped for Fire Emblem because I love Fire Emblem, but we already knew about it and I know I'm gonna play it. So similar to like a lot of the other showcases, didn't want to like make that a focal point of what we talked about. We'll say very surprising, not surprising that we got the Kingdom Hearts stuff, the Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, 3, all the collections on Switch finally. I Square's got to work on some stuff, man. So obviously there's like the discussion around like the AI usage and like the cover art or whatever, which is like apparently only a thing on the US side and not the Japanese version of it or whatever. So
Interesting.
there's a whole discussion on that that's been going on. Like Blue Sky people have been investigating, and like an artist who's very deep into like the Square Enix space was basically like, this is what it looks like in the Japanese version. It looks like it's official art, and then the US team took it and used AI to like change positions on some things or whatever that really messed with it or whatever. I don't know. I'm not gonna dig into that, but that's a whole situation that's happening. Also, apparently Square is delisting the cloud versions of all these Kingdom Hearts games that were available on Switch 1, and they're not offering. I think that you might get a discount on the full versions, and your saves will carry over, but you're not just going to get them for free. So if you bought the cloud versions of any of the Kingdom Hearts games on Switch because they were not native, you will have to buy these again, whether it's a discount or not. So that's kind of scummy. But wasn't surprised we got that because that they could run natively perfectly on the Switch 2 now. Was very surprised that we got a Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer at a Nintendo Direct.
That was surprising.
That blew me away. However, it again highlights what we're talking about with Final Fantasy, where this was Square being like, it's everywhere. Like this is usually tied to PlayStation. Nope.
Right.
This is a Nintendo showcase.
No.
Day and date on Switch 2. They announced that. No time frame for the actual release. I assume that's going to be a 2028 game at this point. But
I feel like there was like a very, very light on actual like Disney stuff in this trailer. Like we see Donnie, we see Donald and Goofy for like half a second.
There's a reason for that, because at the end of 3, Sora basically gets like, I don't even know what, like kicked out of like the realm of whatever they exist in, I guess. I don't know. So he's
Disney shared universe realm or whatever it's called.
Whatever. Yeah. I mean, so if you've never played a Kingdom Hearts game and you want like the basic structure of those games, it's the actual plot takes place entirely out of the Disney worlds. The Disney worlds are just exist to be things that you interact with in the world. Like the plot doesn't typically actually get advanced a lot when you're in the Disney worlds most of the time. Kingdom Hearts 3 changed that quite a bit. There is actually some stuff in like the Toy Story world and stuff where like you're interacting with like stuff that pushes the story forward, but that's a little rarer than you would think. At the end of 3, the ending of 3 essentially is like Sora getting kicked out of the realm, or whatever happens to Sora at the end of 3 is what makes him wake up in like what might be the real world for the equivalent of Kingdom Hearts 4, which is where you're at and all we've seen from that. So you see like a bunch of I can't even remember the name. Organization 13 people, like the remnants of that. You see glimpses of people that might have been Noctis in the trailer, which is like the Final Fantasy element coming back into play a little bit, because that's also involved. So we don't know anything about Kingdom Hearts 4 in terms of like specifically what's going on, but this is like expanding on what we saw when they first revealed it, without giving too much away. This was like the first actual like full on like new gameplay we've seen since the initial reveal, and it looked cool. So I'm not the biggest Kingdom Hearts person, but cool that we finally got something re-announcing the game. Basically, I assume we're going to hear a lot more about it next year, and it'll probably be a 2028 release, if I had to guess.
Sounds right.
It'll probably be like early 2028. And then the last announcement we got was the confirmation that the leaks were right, and we're getting a Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time remake slated for 2026. We did not see any gameplay. We did not see anything actually happening. My guess is that is because they didn't want to overshadow the games that are coming out, and we will see this more in a late September direct and it will be announced for
Hmm.
a November release date during that direct. If I had to guess.
That sounds right. That fits their schedule. But yeah, this was like it's like the two biggest things that people wanted from this show, or like the two biggest things from the show is one that really no one thought would be in the show, Kingdom Hearts 4, and then the other is what everyone either expected or really hoped would be at this show, and that's the Ocarina of Time remake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. This is a stack show for people who aren't me, because I
Yeah,
was most of
that's
these
the
games.
thing.
I'm just like,
Like,
wait,
people got to go into these
anyway.
showcases and be like, yo, if you go into these showcases and you're expecting everything to be a like for you, you're looking at these showcases wrong. Like these showcases are like a breadth
Yeah.
of like the games industry. Like you're going into these and hoping you get like one or two things that appeal directly to you, because that's most of what
Mhm.
like the games industry is. It's like, oh yeah, I really like character action games, or I really like Souls like games or whatever. You're gonna get like one or two of those at some of these showcases, and then you're
I mean,
set for
you're
like,
gonna get like 4 or 5. You're gonna get
yeah,
4 or 5 Souls
you
like
actually
games
got
throughout
way
the
less
whole
this year
week.
than I thought. There's a
I if I yeah yeah it felt like there were more, but well, that's another one that was the Dusk Bloods. It's still
yeah,
apparently
the
coming out
network
this
test is
year. We'll
here.
see.
Well, so people were. I was surprised we didn't get
Oh
like
yeah,
the.
they give a network test. Yeah.
Yeah, they gave the network test thing, but I was surprised they didn't have like that paired with an Elden Ring trailer, because they got a date for that. I think it's August for the tarnished edition of that on Switch 2.
Okay.
Like that got a date, so I'm surprised that wasn't here at all, just to like reaffirm that for people that were watching. But people that thought that was coming out this year are a little weird, because we always knew that Elden Ring was going to drop first. So whether that, I don't think that led to a delay in Duskbloods, but I don't think Duskbloods was ever going to be like
Right.
2026 extends through March in terms of like March 2027 is technically still 2026 when it comes to a release timeline for a lot of these companies,
Yeah.
especially in Japan. So I always thought that game was going to be February next year. I thought it was going to be early 2027, especially when Elden Ring got delayed. So I still think that's the case. I think it's
It
going
can
to get,
still be delayed. Yeah.
yeah, like I think it's going to get summer show. I get a network test in summer, network test in December, launch in February would be my guess. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. This Ocarina of Time thing, it's like I don't really need to play Ocarina of Time again. Like a lot of these remakes, like when a remake happens, if it's not a game I haven't played, or it's not a game that I like absolutely adore, because I like Ocarina of Time, but I played it twice. I played the original through. I played the 3DS version first. That's the first one I ever beat, was the 3DS version, and then I went back and played the original at some point years later. I've beaten both. I don't really need to play Ocarina of Time again. If it plays drastically different, if there's like new additions, maybe if there's like really cool stuff that's happening, or just is like that good, I'll probably play it. I probably won't pick it up day one, just because like I'm not like, I like Zelda a lot, but I'm not like the biggest Zelda guy. I
Hmm.
This does not have the same appeal to me as like a Tears of the Kingdom, like a brand new Zelda coming out.
Sure.
So I'll probably
Yeah.
like, this didn't hype me up as much as like some of the other stuff coming out. But like, I mean, I got Fire Emblem, I got Xenoblade. There's a new Final Fantasy here. There's enough stuff here for me that I walk away. Well, specifically, this is like the most me thing ever happened in this showcase.
Hmm.
So like, I walked away more than happy. But I walked away happy
Hmm.
from all of these showcases because I got at least like one new thing I was hype about. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't.
From like each show,
Yeah,
each show gives you a
if
little
I
something.
walk away from any direct or showcase or state of play or whatever with one new thing that I'm like excited about, that's a win for me. Because I know what my taste in video games are, and especially now that I'm not covering games as much, outside of talking about them with friends or like writing about them if I feel like it, I don't have a need to play more. I don't have the need to play outside of my realm of I know I'm going to enjoy this as much. I still do. I still pull in games here or there that I'm like probably wouldn't like that. Like I'm not a huge like I don't think I'm gonna be a huge Onimusha guy, but if the game looks that good, I'll probably play it.
Yeah.
Like there are games that I will play just because I think I will like get something out of playing them more than just like, oh, this game's not in my comfort zone, I probably shouldn't touch that. Like if I wanted to, I could just play RPGs forever. There's enough RPGs existing that I could just never leave the RPG space and be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm trying to get out of just playing like, live service shooters and things like that, because I feel like that just kind of limits what you can what you can enjoy. So that's why, this year I beat Lego Batman. I'm starting on Ghost of Yotei. I think I'm gonna do, if I have time before Galactic Racer, which I should.
That's like 3
Although
months.
July
You
and August
definitely
is gonna
should
be
have
busy.
space.
Yeah, but if work's gonna get busier, and but right now I'm doing Ghost of Yotei. I'll have Galactic Racer in October. I do want to try and see if I can fit First Light in there because I was really, really impressed by what I saw, but I was just like on the fence. I was like, Yotei's on sale. Let's get it right now while it's on sale, and then because that sale can go away, and then I just start playing it right away. I was like, oh yeah, this is what everyone was talking about. This has unbelievable sauce.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, like
Yeah.
I I'm thinking, like man, I don't know. I've like two thoughts of it. Like, there's no game right now. Like, I need to beat Pragmata. That's the one new game that I'm in the middle of that I haven't beaten yet.
Mm.
That I need to beat. I've been enjoying that. But like most of my backlog, most of my stuff has just been backlog stuff, and we'll have an episode on that at some point talking about like playing games and like the current marketplace and like the best way to enjoy games or like recommendations on how you can enjoy stuff, because like a lot of the games I want to play are older. Like the Xeno, I was not planning on replaying Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Like that was not on my bingo card for the year. I think I tweeted that. Like that was not on the list of things I was expecting to do this year. I thought I was gonna replay Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at some point because I thought that was gonna get the Switch 2 edition. But now, am I going to spend 300 hours replaying all three Xenoblade Chronicles games? Probably. Like, I'll probably try and fit that in like over the course of the year. Obviously, it being spaced out with like, hey, I can play this one this month, and then I have like 3 or 4 months to get through Xenoblade Chronicles 2 before three's definitive upgrade drops, and then I have probably 6 months to do that before the new one drops in summer or whatever. Like that's a good timeline for me. Like I can do that on top of playing other stuff. What else do I want to play? Like I'm probably gonna pick up. I just picked up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on Steam because it's on sale. I'm gonna play that on my ROG because I want to play that through again before Revelation drops. Uh, like I want to play through some old RPGs that I haven't played through. I've been slowly working through like my PlayStation 1 backlog of RPGs that I've never played through before. There's there's some new games that I'm like, yeah, I should really probably get around to playing that. Like, I want to play Mina the Hollower, or at least give it a try. Just really want to
Yeah, that would.
give that one a go. Maybe I'll try First Light at some point. Even though I'm not the biggest Hitman guy, I think I probably enjoy that more than a Hitman game. It's different enough from what I've seen that I'll probably enjoy it. Uh, man, I'd have to go look at like my
Oh,
list of games I've downloaded.
I've got a Zero Company in August, so
Yeah, that's true.
that'll be
But that's also
my
when you can
my
like
August to September
that
game.
can that's also when you can like pick up and put down really easy because of how it's structured.
Sure, yeah.
Let me
And
look up.
I'm still playing Marathon. I was looking over at Steam. I see Des is playing right now, and I'm like, oh, I do want to play that. I do like, especially this season. I've been really like much more eager to like just dive in and do runs where, um, you know, risk some stuff because it's like because when the first season ended, I just had so much stuff in my vault. It's like, well, all this is gonna be gone anyway. And I like that they had a little like narrative driven thing about like a little story reason why your season resets. It's not just like, oh, the season's over, oh, your stuff's gone. It's like there's like they worked into like the overall world and story. Um, but there was so much stuff in my vault at the end of the last season. I was like, I should just like be like not a coward and just take this good stuff in, and I'll have better runs anyway, and yeah, because it's gonna go to waste anyway. So
Yeah,
look forward to
there are a couple
playing
like
more of that.
smaller games that I've got downloaded on my ROG. I just looked up my list. Motor Slice character action game. They came out, little indie character
Mhm.
action game that came out. Want to play that? There's whatchamacallit. Fuck, I just had it. I still haven't played Replaced, even though I drafted it in our fantasy critic. Need to play that at some point. We didn't talk about it. That was also announced here. Vampire Survivors partnering with to do a Jujutsu Kaisen battle royale game.
Yeah, that
That
was
was
announced.
wild.
I think that I sure. let's go for it. I
Look,
think
hey,
it'll be fun.
you do what you want,
Um,
team. You already released your next game. You're going strong. You do what you feel like you need to do.
yeah.
But
Um, we're about at the end, so I think for the next, so I mean, I say overall, I think it was a great week of showcases total. Um, yeah, and like you said, there was some were they're not the shows aren't stronger or weaker. They're just like they're catered to different people. Like, I really like what was in the Xbox and the PlayStation ones, especially. I think the Summer Game Face showcase a little bit less, and then the direct is really there just wasn't anything for me in there. There's a lot of great games, a lot of exciting games that obviously a lot of people, especially you, were really looking forward to. But for me, just wasn't anything that I was really looking forward to, and that's fine.
that's just how these
That's
things
fine.
go. I mean, like, there's a lot of people that tune into the naked Nintendo thing, and it's like only for Mario and Zelda, and that's just how Nintendo is. Like, there's some people who are like that,
Yep.
but then there's also a lot of people who tune in and they're like, I'm here for the Fire Emblems, I'm here for the Star Foxes, I'm here for like all the other Nintendo stuff that occasionally pops up, or whatever else gets surprise announced there. Because there's more often than not, there's like some surprise third party thing that gets announced at Nintendo Direct nowadays. But like, you know what you're getting when you go to a lot of these showcases because you know what the first party offerings, like Jeff's showcase is the one you don't necessarily know. Like, you know, some of the big names,
Sure.
like you're gonna get like a Fortnite thing, or you're gonna get like a Capcom thing, you're gonna get a Square thing. Like, you know, you're gonna get some of each of these things, but you don't know what necessarily. Like, if we didn't get
Mhm.
Final Fantasy VII there, what something else could have ended the show very easily. Like, you didn't know you were gonna get that
Yeah.
out unless you were really tuned into like timelines for that kind of stuff, or you really like Final Fantasy. But these showcases, all that one is a little bit more of a mixed bag. Like, that one can be hit or miss for everyone because there's a
Mhm.
high chance that some people won't get a game they like there versus like time frame or whatever else. But if you're tuning into like an Xbox showcase or a PlayStation State of Play or a Nintendo Direct, you're probably going to get at least one thing you like because you know what those companies do. Like, you're going to get a single player, semi open world, semi structured, like
Mhm.
story game based on like an IP or a character or something. That's what you're getting from Sony most of the time. Xbox, you're gonna get a
Yeah.
some kind of shooter game with a more realistic slash grounded feel, like a Halo or a Gears or even a Call of Duty to an extent. Like nowadays, like you're gonna get one of those. And then for Nintendo, it's like you're gonna get a Nintendo IP. Which one you get, you never know. Typically, at these bigger ones, you're gonna get a Mario game or a Zelda game. So you're probably gonna get one of those two, and then it's a grab bag of are you getting a Fire Emblem, you getting a Xenoblade, you getting a now you can get like a Star Fox, an F-Zero, a Splatoon, a Kirby, what, like, pick your poison there. Uh like, there's not a lot here that, like, I was not going into any of these expecting anything that I wasn't already sure we were gonna get. Like, I knew we were gonna get Wolverine things at the State of Play. Didn't care about what we got at the Xbox thing. That was why I was pleasantly surprised. Jeff's thing, I was like, we're gonna get the Street Fighter, we're gonna get Street Fighter characters, and we're gonna get probably Final Fantasy, sure. And then Nintendo, I
Mhm.
was like, as long as I get the Fire Emblem date, I'm good because I know I'll play it.
Yeah.
So as long as we're getting that stuff, I'm like, the one thing that I hoped we would have gotten that I'm like, that's like my pipe dream announcement at one of these is I want to get a remaster, remake, port of some kind of Kid Icarus Uprising from the 3DS on Switch. That is like the one that every time we get into Nintendo Direct, I'm like holding out for that as like something that I would really like. But I don't have a lot of those
Mm.
anymore. Where I'm like, yeah, like this thing, like, would I want a new Xenoblade? Yes. Did I know what kind of new Xenoblade we were going to get, or if it was going to be connected, or if it was going to be even a Xenoblade game and not just a Monolith developed game? No. And I wasn't like, I didn't have any expectations going in. Now that we have it, I'm like, that's awesome, and it's exactly what I want. But that's more so because I know the team making it than that it's a Xenoblade
Right.
game. I
Yeah.
would have been happy even if it wasn't a Xenoblade game. It's just now it's more Xenoblade, so I can't complain.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, that's just
No
kind of
complaints.
where we're at the end of out of these showcases. Like, that's just what you go into. Just if you walked away from a lot of these disappointed, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But if you're going into all of these showcases and you're always walking away disappointed because they didn't give you everything you wanted, that might be when you need to like adjust your mindset going into these a little bit. So there's your PSA, your friendly PSA from people who've been ranting about video games for 2 hours. Scott, anything else you want to add before we call it?
No, we'll do it all again. I mean, obviously we'll be back next week, but we'll
We're
do
going to
this
talk
all
about
again
these
when
exact same 4 press
Gamescom
conferences again next week. Yes, every week moving forward, we're going to talk about these same 4 press conferences until the next time we get a bunch of press conferences.
No,
Yep.
no,
That's what
no.
we're doing.
We'll talk about other stuff next week. But yeah, there's a lot of other stuff to talk about aside from just like the actual games shown. But also we can get into all that next week. Excited to be back and keep doing this. So we'll talk more next week.
Yep. Everybody, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, like all that weird stuff you have to do for social content and whatnot. If you want to read about any of the stuff that is going on outside of the games or further previews of the games, obviously we'll have some links in the description. Didn't really talk about a lot of specifics here, but if you want to look at it, I'm always reposting stuff on Blue Sky. A lot of the writers that I follow and a lot of media people that I'm friends with, I've gotten hands-on previews with a lot of these games, talked to some of the people behind them. All that stuff's all over the place. Kotaku, IGN, But Why Though, Game Informer, everywhere. So just go find a place you like to read and start digging in because a lot of these places have a lot of interviews. But until next week, we will see you then.